Hold on, save it.
Yeah, hold on.
Save it.
Every minute is precious.
I've never met anyone that was raised by Playboy.
Yeah.
No,
Well, you haven't seen Matt's family.
We good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go. Hey, before we get started, we're here with Nick Bryant, but you asked me how Vegas went. Let me tell you how Vegas went.
What happened?
All right, go ahead.
Sure.
Show number 2. So show 1 goes great. Mm-hmm. Show number 2, for some reason, 50 seats in the front. 50 seats in the front are just completely empty.
Oh, no. Did
And
50 Cent do it to...
Basically exactly what 50 Cent did, except I think it was the venue that kind of got me, because those are like artist tickets that why the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you're supposed to like dole those out.
So I walk out, it's front rows pretty empty. I start doing my little act, and about 10 minutes in, a guy in the balcony just goes, "Fuck you, Shane, you fucking sellout piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you." He got kicked out. And I was on stage like, "How the fuck am I a sellout? I didn't fucking sell out." What the fuck? I was like, it must have been one of those bastard Saudis. But what the fuck?
What the fuck, dude?
I think he was mad he heard some of that material before.
What do you mean?
I guess he had heard that material. Because I was, of course, that's 10 minutes in. So the rest of the show, I'm just devastated.
Yeah.
Like at first, it didn't quite hit me.
Oh, that would kill me.
And then throughout the show, I was just getting sadder and sadder.
Oh.
And then I get off stage. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? Like, I'm talking to everybody. I'm like, what did he mean? How did I fucking tell me how I sold out?
No.
This is the rest of the night. I'm like,
you got Lincoln, dude. It's in the
I
in
got
the theater.
Pop, dude.
No.
And then Ethan was there. So he was like, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out exactly who that was and what was happening. And I was like, I was sick to my dogs of war upon him, my Jews. Apparently he was like fighting, arguing with security, and he was like, he did that material last time he was here. Fuck him. Blah, blah. I haven't been to fucking Vegas. I
Yeah.
had like a guest spot on Burt's, which was probably the 15 I opened up with.
Yeah, but
So
that's...
he probably heard that first 15 and was just like, I'm done with this shit. Fucking sellout. Anyway, so that was
that's insane.
catastrophic. It's
no.
never really happened. That was a tough one.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. So that was sad.
That was a... that's definitely one of those formative moments, though. Maybe it'll give you a good fired charge.
Yeah.
Or does it just sting? So I like every now and again, I've heard of people doing like poorly on those big giant shows you do.
Yeah.
And they do.
This was a small one.
I was talking when I did terrible on the one time. I was like, it has a real, gives you a real formative charge.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
But afterwards, though, I got like a real fire in my belly. But if there was like even like one empty table in the front, I get freaked out. I'm like, why? What is that about?
I was so mad. I was like, why would this has been sold out for a while? Why would you leave like 3 rows?
Yeah, that's
in
crazy.
the front, and that's all you can see. I'm just kind of talking to no one, and then all of a sudden a guy in outer space is like, "You fucking suck." Like, shit.
You're like, what was that place Elvis got like stuck in?
Yeah.
What is that place called? What was the theater Elvis got stuck in that he had to
In
perform?
Vegas?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was thinking Fat Elvis the whole time. I love Fat Elvis so much. Fat Elvis coming out. It's like my favorite video ever.
You know what killed him was a heart attack while he was defecating, because it was on so many narcotics. It was just...
Oh, man. I
Yeah.
I never realized he was pushing that hard because of
he was pushing.
the pains.
Yeah. And he was probably also swiveling his hips while he pushed.
Yeah,
He's like,
Those days, I think, were long gone for Elvis.
True
I
that.
don't know. Did you ever see Fat Elvis in Vegas?
I don't think I
Unchained
have.
Melody is
it's awesome.
Fucking incredible.
So all the Pepsi or the Cokes or
And then
whatever.
just he comes out, you're like, oh, this is going to be terrible.
Is that the thing where he does his karate thing?
He does a little karate up front. That's why everyone's like, Jesus, this guy's done. And then he hits Unchained Melody, and it's just,
I did see
holy
that.
shit.
It is awesome.
My thinking on it was, he's gone.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Nick, what's going on, man? We were just talking about some disastrous things that happened this weekend, but I'll be all right,
I see you got a Napoleon with Bud Light. I like that.
Yeah, it was a nice gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend's girlfriend paying that for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's new? What's new
Yeah,
and
I'd like to
shaking?
get right into this.
Well, you know,
We gotta
I'm
get this,
the
all
guy
right, never
that
mind.
I'm the guy that you invite when you want to hear about child trafficking and child abuse.
Yeah.
It's really
That's one way to put it.
it's quite a distinction, I got to admit. But I do want to say, when I first met you guys, you were living in, I believe,
Queens.
Brooklyn
Yeah.
or Queens, yeah. And now you've got a sitcom on Netflix, which, if I ever get tired of being a writer, I'm going to aspire to work at a tire shop. I mean, it looks like
We actually have a child trafficking episode.
Oh, really? Wow.
working on
I
it.
got, right
Get you in there.
And then
be a
I saw
consultant.
Matt a couple weeks ago on Netflix, and he enumerated every reason why I've never been married.
Well, thank you, sir.
But I'm glad to be back. Always like to hang out with you guys. Always a good time.
Glad.
Yeah,
have
it's very nice to have you. This is it's very reminiscent of the Skrilla episode.
Yeah. How so?
Just
Yeah.
polar opposites. Just joking.
I thought he was like, his face isn't covered.
The last time I was on here, I was starting a nonprofit organization called
Remember that?
Epstein Justice. And what we're trying to do is get an independent congressional commission to look at the crimes committed by Epstein. Right now, some legislators are trying to get a bill through, but I don't think it's going to work. It's called a discharge petition. And they need a majority in the House, which they have, but Mike Johnson isn't swearing in this woman who became a representative in Arizona. So if they can get a majority in the House, it can become a bill. It would be Bill 165. And if they can get a majority in the House to vote on an Epstein investigation, then it'll go through Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who is very skeptical. He's not been very positive about an Epstein investigation. And if it can get through him, then it goes to a vote to the Senate. And if it can get through the Senate, then Donald Trump has to sign it into law. And
He's
Donald
definitely
Trump,
not gonna
he's
do that.
he'll sign it.
You should have burned it.
without a doubt.
What's plan B?
So what we're shooting for is an independent congressional commission where we need a majority in the House and we need a majority in the Senate, but we don't need a presidential signature.
Right.
And our plan is to harass legislators until they do the right thing and make sure that, because there's 218 that are willing to vote for this discharge petition. So there is a majority there. And I think that there would be people receptive. It's unfortunate, though, that it's partisan. I mean, all we want is a simple investigation into child trafficking, Epstein-related child trafficking, but it's become a partisan issue. When you would think that every legislator would want to vote for, yes, we need an investigation into a child trafficking network where no one has been indicted except for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
Anytime like somebody like Thune, who if anybody's like cynical against it, it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of it's a weird thing to be against, you know?
Thune, I mean, I look at all these guys that are against it. And I mean, it's really weird.
It's weird to be against that.
That we have congressmen and congresswomen that vote against an investigation into child trafficking. When you think about that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it's also is the thing I'm always confused about. Like, are there really like Epstein papers? Like, I find it hard to believe there's like a giant stack of papers that has a bunch of information about like high power sex offenders that's just sitting in a safe right now. That people are like, no, you can't see that. Wouldn't they destroy that?
Well, I released Epstein's Black Book and Flight Logs
Yeah, I remember
in
that.
2015. And all the perps are in that book, and all the perps are on the flight logs. I mean, there's a lot of other people that are named, but there's a lot of perps. And the day after Epstein was arrested, the FBI opened up his safe. And his safe contained
Oh, there you go.
discs and discs and discs of underage girls.
Dang.
And also, there were hard drives that were taken too. And the thing about Pam Bondi, she's saying that the FBI just started looking at this stuff a couple of months ago. which is total bullshit. I mean, the FBI and Department of Justice and whoever else was covering up for Epstein, they were looking at that stuff in 2019. It didn't like sit in some dark corner of the FBI. And now we got to look at it 6 years later. So the Trump administration has been guilty of a lot of lies. Pamela Bondi came out and said, yes, it's on my desk and we're going to release names. And then they released it and it was a nothing sandwich. I provided more incriminating information on Jeffrey Epstein and his network in 2015 than Pam Bondi did in 2025.
That's pretty weird, actually, now you say that.
And then she said that she'd been bamboozled by the FBI field office, that they had, because it was such a nothing sandwich. And then she said now she has a truckload of evidence. And she said,
It's never great. Whole truckload of CP.
Yeah, what's the protocol for them watching? Is there like a specific government protocol? You have to literally watch child pornography. Like, how do they do? Is there like a 30-second increment thing, or like how do they do that?
I don't know. They probably hire some pervs or something. It's
There's probably plenty of them in the government. It's perfect.
We got a couple guys that'll volunteer over there.
No, for real, that's like fucked up to have to watch.
Of course.
That. Yeesh.
so.
Yeah, it's like life altering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi then said, she keeps digging herself into a deeper and deeper hole. She said only matters related to national security would be redacted. So now she has to tell us what a bunch of child molesters have to do with national security. And then ultimately they put out a memo that no one signed that said that there were 300 gigabytes impounded from Jeffrey Epstein, that there are over 1,000 victims, and that Jeffrey Epstein just downloaded these thousands of hours of pornography from the internet, and he molested over 1,000 victims without any help except from Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, total bullshit. And Bondi had said earlier that there were videos of Epstein molesting underage girls. So the lies have just kept mounting and mounting and mounting. And I think that that's why this case is being kept alive. One of the reasons why is people want to know the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's also just disappointing because that's like the one thing, because like with the shutdown and everything, it's like they're bickering over this and that, but definitely having sex with children, you'd think they'd kind of pop the mask off and be like, all right, we'll get to the bottom of this one. If they're punting that around, it's like, man, these guys really will lie about anything. Sad.
Yeah.
It really shows how degenerate our government is. And then Mike Johnson, who's the House Majority Speaker, he said that, and this is really bizarre, he adjourned the House early so it couldn't vote on Massey's discharge bill, which would have had the representatives vote on whether or not there should be an Epstein investigation. And then we found out that he had an app on his phone called Covenant Eye.
Yeah.
And his son also has Covenant Eye, so they can monitor each other's consumption of pornography. Yeah. That's our Speaker of the House. And
at least he wasn't there, probably. That's fair. Or maybe that's where
was he?
Changes
that could cut both ways.
Yeah, true. Get back from the trip, you're like, look, son, we're going to start cracking down on this whole thing here.
It's time to make some changes.
And then
God,
he told an unbelievable lie that Donald Trump was an informant working
man on the
for
inside.
the FBI spying on Epstein. And that was such an egregious lie that he had to walk it back. So
hold on, he claimed Donald Trump was there as like a secret high-level informant.
Yeah, as an informant.
00 Trump was down there
he was down
on
there.
the massage table.
yeah.
And now he's not opening up the House, so that discharge petition cannot be voted on. I mean, but even if that discharge petition makes it through the House and makes it through John Thune and makes it through the Senate, it's never going to make it through Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, but we have a president, and I don't have Trump derangement syndrome, but we do have a president that's committed to not making sure that there's an investigation into a bunch of child molesters.
Would you say there's a chance that Trump is trying to hide that investigation because he knows the people that would release it would use him as, like, they would maybe insert him more than he was into it You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they might weaponize it against him if you let the Democrats lead the investigation. Now that's just I'm just playing.
No, that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I think what Trump is hiding, Trump might be involved. I mean, with Epstein, people pretty much knew what he. John McCain's widow was being interviewed about Epstein, and she said that everybody knew what Epstein was about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like a secret that what Epstein was about.
Yeah.
And Trump hung out with him for a long time.
Now the thing I've always been told is he stopped hanging out with him after
Yeah.
the first time Epstein got caught in Florida.
No, it was before. Okay, so there's two stories about that.
Yeah.
There's two that Epstein did something very inappropriate to an underage girl at Mar-a-Lago, and then the other story is that they had a bidding war on a mansion in Florida, and
Yeah.
that for some reason that ended their friendship. We really don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like a damn pedophile outbidded me, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because didn't Bill Gates still hang out with him after he got busted for because he got like busted on record for pedophilia.
Yeah, in Florida. Then
In 2007.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cover story is that Bill Gates was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein in 2011. But there's an article by the Evening Standard, a UK paper, that talks about them doing business in the 1990s.
Okay.
So we have no idea of how long Bill Gates has been hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein.
Got you.
I would say the big thing for me is who's hanging out with him after he got busted in 07. Was that the first time Epstein got busted for
Yeah.
underage stuff?
Yeah.
That would be, to me, a pretty important marker as to who's still hanging out with him after that.
Well, John Burns, the head of the CIA, hung out with Jeffrey Epstein.
Another undercover agent, son of a bitch.
Who's not a spy? in
I
this?
think Bill Gates' wife came out and said he was chilling
this-
with Epstein after he got indicted.
Was this all just to capture Chris Tucker? Was this all just to bring down Tucker?
Let's take down Hawkins, man. They had
That
to take
damn
down
Chris
Hawkins.
Tucker.
Yeah. They got Spacey, Tuckman, and fucking Hawking. This is all
No,
for
no,
that.
it was Spacey and Tucker and Clinton on Epstein's plane.
Yeah.
Now you know that something very aberrant went down there with those.
Aberrant's a good word.
Allegedly.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah, true.
This whole podcast, allegedly.
Exactly. We're merely speculating. But yeah, I mean, so do you worry the kind of like appetite for justice will fizzle out under all kind of the current just people just, I guess obfuscating's the word, just being like, whatever, who cares? Let's move on. We got bigger fish to fry.
I don't think so. I mean, this thing has been the Bush too covered it up. I mean, he was the guy that got the ball rolling on the cover up, and
you
in
explain
2007.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then Biden covered it up.
Yeah.
And Obama covered it up. And Trump covered it up. So it's been
the
covered
hell
up
happened?
by 4 different presidents.
Jesus Christ.
Must have
And
been the sickest part. It's Project X, dude. Fucking they did it. Dude.
Hawkins had the ski goggles
I'm
on.
a pursuit of-
Yeah, like that makes it seem so horrible.
It's the party of the century. They can't tell their parents.
I mean, that's so damning. If every single
4 presidents.
yeah,
Where Trump got himself into trouble is he said he'd be transparent about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
And Epstein is a Pandora's box. Once you open that, once Pandora's box is opened, the curse comes out.
Yeah.
And Trump thought that, I believe that Trump thought he could open it ever so slightly and slam it shut. But as soon as he opened it, the curse came out.
Yeah.
And he is hemorrhaging MAGA because of this issue. There's a lot of MAGA people that have just, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson have just been filled with so much bullshit that they've completely embarked on a different path than Donald Trump. I mean, they've jumped ship.
Would you say that the Epstein thing seems like a Mossad and CIA? Is it like joint to you, or is it just Mossad? Or
It's entirely possible. People say it's just Mossad, and I can't imagine the Mossad compromising American politicians on American soil without the CIA getting a cut.
Yeah.
I look at the Mossad and the CIA, at least the dark side of the Mossad. It's like the Gambino and the Genovese crime family. Yeah. I mean, they're both engaged in the same criminality, and they work together instead of working against each other. And Virginia Giuffre, her memoir came out a couple of days ago, and she talked about a prime minister that beat her up, and that was really vicious with her. And I knew Virginia. I got to know her pretty
Fucking
well.
Angela Merkel.
Virginia told me that it was a Hood Barak.
Fucking Merkel.
Sorry.
Merkel got in there.
That's terrible.
Laid the lumber. Allegedly. No, it was.
It was a Hood Barak,
Oh,
the prime
okay.
minister.
Whoa, okay. I was going to say, why didn't she name him?
She just said prime minister in her book, but she told me
That's
that,
Turkey,
Oh,
right?
shit.
that it was a Hood Barak.
Is that Turkey?
No, he was the prime minister of Israel.
Oh, jeez.
And he was also head of Israeli intelligence at one point, too.
Yikes.
So that's how high this goes. It goes to the former prime minister of Israel, and it goes very, very high in American politics, too.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're not going to get that.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell us that.
They're going to need like a Snowden type figure.
Well, and I think that's why Americans really want to know how corrupt their political system is. And I've been writing about political blackmail for 22, 23 years. And I think that our political system is rife with blackmail. Even if Trump isn't involved with Epstein, he's protecting a system that's heavily compromised. I mean, that's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, that as far as I can, I mean, I don't really know much about the government, but yeah, if they can't release that, if they do have damning evidence that they can't release, it's kind of proof. I mean, their whole thing is kind of like, dude, there's nothing there. People are hyping this all up. It's not what they said it was, but I don't know.
There's
Seems like
over
there could be.
1,000 victims that we know of.
There you go.
And
There's good counterpoint.
we know, we know that. And then we know the procurers. We know who a bunch of the procurers are.
What?
I mean, the New York Times has written an article on 6 procurers. And Politico has written an article on 5 procurers. So we could take those procurers and indict them on multiple counts of child trafficking, and then they would roll over on the perps, and then you've got a bunch of victims who would be willing to testify against the perps. I mean, this whole thing could be taken care of really quickly if the Department of Justice had the will. If Pamela Bondi and Kash Patel weren't lying their asses off, this could be taken care of.
Yeah, that was the one thing that kind of sunk them when they were asked directly, like, were you told to warn Trump if anything came up, kind of like indicting him or alleging that he was involved, and they would be like, why are you even asking me this? Which is kind of like, dude, it's a yes or no, man. Just say yes, but yeah.
But that's also the thing where it's like, I'm not defending Trump again, but it's like there's an idea where he could be like, the intelligence communities have been trying to get him.
Yes,
some parts of the intelligence community have been trying to get him for a while.
for sure.
It's like, who knows, under the last,
Yeah.
if they like slid some fucking names in there of like, well, Trump did this also. You just add it to the fucking file.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, I'm going to release it, and he opens it, and it's like, oh shit, they said I did a bunch
They got
of shit.
me. The letter.
I don't know.
What do you think about the letter? No, true. That
But
letter.
he was obviously, he was boys with him.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. But say the letter's not real. That would have scared me. If I was a president and they came up with a thing, be like, "Yo, this guy wrote this," I'd be like, "Fuck."
Now,
this.
you guys think a letter is real?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I have a hard time believing
Okay.
that Rupert Murdoch would have published it without vetting it. And if you look at the birthday book and the other entries, it's consistent with what's in the birthday book.
Yeah.
So,
you believe the letter's real?
yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Can he draw like that? That was like kind of fucking impressive, honestly. Taken out of the context.
I mean, he probably had a kid do it.
I was impressed with the handwriting. I don't have very legible handwriting.
No,
So
but even shaping it like
yeah.
also the wordplay again, just taken out of context was, I thought, fairly strong. Judging it as a piece of prose, I was like, damn, I didn't know Trump had had that in him. Blood of the poets coursing through him.
So I've been in this reality for a long time. I've been investigating Epstein since 2012. What do you guys think? I mean, what's your surmise on all this?
Part of me if I'm being honest, it's like there is something awesome about being like, yeah, all the guys on top are sick perverts and I get to take them down. So there's part of me that like not wants it to be true, but I get like excited for that to come out. So I try not to get too like, yeah, it's definitely the case. But the more and more people who really research it tend to be like, yeah, it was definitely a giant conspiracy that's being covered up. So I kind of believe that. I think it's yeah, I think there's a strong possibility it's a horrible, terrible conspiracy that's getting covered up by super powerful people.
Yeah.
So
89% of the American people want the Epstein files to be released. And the government...
Shout out to those 11%.
Yeah, I was thinking, there's probably 11% are probably pedophiles.
That's crazy.
I think they actually, they polled, I don't know what country it was in, but they were like, should we relax the child, like the pedophilia laws? And I do think there were 14% of people, it was either pedophilia or child pornography, were like, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, Alan Dershowitz is on record saying that child pornography should be legal.
Yeah, dude.
He was one
Bad
of
take.
Epstein's swell.
Maybe it was a
swell
podcast.
pals.
Maybe he might have been doing a podcast. It might have been out of context. He might have been joking.
Damn, what's his argument for that? Being like,
Probably have that quote at some point, dude. We've done this for a million hours. Sure, there was one night where I jokingly said that.
Dershowitz is a serious man.
I'm serious as hell. Fucking sell out. Fuck you.
Matt, stop laughing and get quiet. Matt, seriously, I know we fuck around a lot, but I want to make it a really
This is
important
an
point.
important thing I want to say.
You in
You got that
2017.
legalize it.
It's you in 2017.
Legalize it.
Matt, seriously, can you fucking stop messing around? I want to make a point. So why did Dershowitz say that?
I think Alan has some psychological issues
Yeah, fair.
towards women. I
Thinks they're
busted
too
him
old.
lying. And he was sued by, Virginia Giuffre's affidavit came out in 2015, and she said that she'd been molested by Alan Dershowitz and Prince Andrew and Jean-Luc Brunel. And Alan Dershowitz went on the offensive, and he
He's
was
like, I don't
talking,
think it's a crime.
What's that?
What was his offensive? Like, I don't think it's a crime.
Well, no, his offensive was, I never fly without my wife.
Oh, the Pence.
And then the pants too. And then the flight logs that I had that I put up showed that he was definitely flying without his wife.
Liar.
So he told American lawyer that he only flew with his wife, and then I nailed him lying. I said, are you sure you want to go with this? And then he said, well, maybe I forgot, this girl.
Forgot to bring her to the sex island.
And then he changed his tune because
that's right. She wasn't there.
She would have hated it. Wait, so he did? He changed it and it was like, okay, so maybe sometimes I do.
Well, he changed his tune in a deposition, and he said that his wife flew with him on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. So, I busted Alan
Dang.
and lying.
He had to change it up a little bit.
He had to change it up a little bit after that article came out.
What office does this guy hold? What does he do? I always hear his name. I don't know really what he does.
Well, I mean, he's a retired Harvard law professor, but he's made his name defending rapists and murderers.
Jesus.
Like Mike Tyson and O.J. Simpson. And he's got a long list of malignant types that he's defended.
Okay.
Klaus von Bülow. That's his thing, is trying to show innocence to the most guilty, malignant people on the face of the earth. That seems to be his thing.
So, how'd you get into all this? What got you kind of, seems to be like a crazy thing to kind of buckle down into. How'd you get into this?
I had a difficult childhood, and that's kind of the reason why. I have a lot. Before I even got into writing about this really weird shit, I had written a lot about children's issues, and my mom was a Playboy bunny, and I never knew my father. I was born in Minneapolis, and then we moved to Chicago where she was a bunny, and then we moved in with another bunny.
Whoa.
So when I was a kid, I was raised by bunnies. And Freud's Oedipus complex.
Let's get into it, yeah. You're in the hutch.
Freud's Oedipus complex has been largely dismissed, but I really like carrots. I ate a lot of carrots, so I don't know what.
So it was just bunnies. So what would Freud say about it? Because there's supposed to be the fear of the father castrating you. You had no fear of the castration.
I didn't meet my dad till I was 16.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, it's kind of funny. My mom told me how bad my dad was.
Yeah.
My grandmother told me how bad my dad was. My uncles told me how bad my dad was. And then when I met him, he was much worse.
No.
Oh, shit. I thought he was going to be the man. Yeah. Sounds like he was the man, dude.
So
probably jealous you're hanging out with bunnies. You're really fucking pumped.
Well, it was a good gig as a kid to hang out with bunnies. I mean, there wasn't anybody to play with.
For sure.
But the bunnies were always really nice to me.
That's nice.
And my mom went to L.A. My mom and I went to L.A. She split Chicago. We went to L.A. And but we lived with two women, and one of them married a mafioso, and one of them became a prostitute, and a high-class prostitute. And then my mom ultimately married an attorney. So he was an asshole, but she got the best bet of any of the three, the best deal.
So just to bring it back, so why was your dad's what was your impression of your dad when you finally met him at 16? Like, what did he do that you were like, damn, this guy is a fucking asshole?
But I mean, just he dripped of it. I mean, there wasn't a benevolent bone in his body. I mean, just a really nasty, foul human.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you met him, and I'm sure you were pretty stoked to meet the guy finally. And what did he do? Was he just like?
Yeah, I probably met him 10 times in my life.
Okay.
I've got a rare neurological disorder that I've had 2 major neurosurgeries for. It's called dystonia, and it disfigures people. Mm-hmm. And there's only 2 neurosurgeons in the country that perform the kind of surgery that I need. One's in Jacksonville, Florida. One's at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And my last neurosurgery was about 10 years ago. And I called up my dad. I hadn't talked to him in a while. And I said, I'm going to have neurosurgery, and I'm going to have to get cleared before I go back to New York. So I'm going to need a place to stay. And he said, you got yourself into this. You get yourself out of it.
What an asshole. So you're absolutely right. The guy's a fucking asshole. Class A jerk.
His son's about to have major neurosurgery.
Hey, you did this to yourself, asshole.
You got to get yourself out of this.
Oh, man.
So that is my dad in a nutshell.
Yeah.
What a hard ass.
He died last year. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. I mean, we talked on the phone occasionally, but I went and saw him before he died. And
what did he die from? If you don't mind me asking.
Neurosurgery.
Yeah.
I think it was his heart that ultimately. But the guy, I got to admit, as far as alcoholics go, the way that he drank, all his brothers died in their early 60s, but he made it to his mid 80s.
Kept it rolling.
Yeah. I mean, impressive.
Yeah, the hate fueled him.
The hate will fuel you.
So my mom.
Damn, he probably doesn't even remember that phone call he was probably hammered. Like, you know what? You got yourself into this. Fucking get out of it. He was probably always like, what the fuck is my son's problem? Why this guy's so mad at me?
That's a fair point.
Well, actually, he did get mad at me, and he told his wife that, if I called, he didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Okay.
So,
well,
you just can't beat unconditional paternal love like that.
Yeah.
True.
So my mom ultimately married this corporate lawyer, and he was a very violent guy. All the women on my mom's side of the family marry violent assholes or drunk assholes. And he was pretty violent towards me, and my mom was cool with it. And after one kind of particularly nasty beating I took in the living room, I ran away. I was 12.
Damn.
And I'm really glad that I didn't get that far when I was 12 years old, because a lot of bad things can happen to 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then I was sent to, it was a military school. It was, I was in 8th grade. I was 13, so it wasn't quite, it was St. James Shattuck. Shattuck was the military part. St. James was the, when you got into 9th grade, you went into Shattuck. But it was the same kind of hazing. It was brutal. It was really violent. The first 2 books that we read were the Bible and Lord of the Flies. I mean, that was how that place indoctrinated. And it was really violent. I was a good student. I was a good athlete. And my mother and stepfather said that I didn't have to go back if I did well. So I did well. And they said, well, since you've done so well, we're going to send you back. And I said, I'm not going back there. And they said, well, you got to go back. And I said, no, I'm not going back. And they said, well, we'll put you in foster care. And by this time I hadn't done anything,
Jesus, man.
And then I ultimately ended up going to public school. But at that point,
So they didn't put you in foster care. You called their bluff on the...
Yeah. And then at that point, I started smoking weed. Sick. And I went from like a straight A student to failing classes. I mean, it was...
Yeah,
and damn, the weed was like 2% THC back then.
No, weed's a perfect gateway into Epstein. Smoke a little weed, you go, these motherfuckers are pedophiles. I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Damn, so you started toking.
And then there was that, I tuned in, turned on, and dropped out, basically. And
just off the weed, or were you taking anything else?
I was doing other stuff, too. And then I got kicked out of a high school. And then I ultimately ended up at a high school that an avocado could have graduated from. I mean, this high school, they gave us...
Reading. Reading, PA. We got a couple avocado grads. We got some avocado grads.
Some Haas avocados. Yeah. So then you say you got through. They pushed you through.
Well, so at this high school, they gave us pinball machines, foosball tables, pool tables, and smoking lounges.
That's awesome.
To keep us there. They really, I mean, and I knew that some of my friends were dropping out, and I was a major knucklehead at that point, still kind of a knucklehead, but I realized I would never have an easier ride for the rest of my life than this high school. So I graduated from the high school, and then I started hitchhiking around the country. Jesus. And that was really a good time.
What year was this?
I started hitchhiking around about 79.
Whoa.
And the 60s as like a cultural movement went from like 1959 through like the 70s. And when I was there's a book by Jack Kerouac called The Dharma Bums. And it's
going to be The Road, but whatever. The Road, I know.
What's it called again?
Dharma Bums. And on the road, too. They're both about, hitchhiking around.
Didn't one of his friends try to levitate the Pentagon? I think it was Allen Ginsberg.
Sounds awesome.
Him and his friend tried to levitate. They tried to meditate until the Pentagon started levitating off the ground. It was like a big thing during Vietnam.
Literally the dumbest dudes of all time. I wonder if the Pentagon took him seriously at all, though.
I think they probably did.
The Pentagon was probably, they're outside. They're trying to levitate us right now. Hold on to something. We're going to get levitated.
It might have been Ginsberg.
I think it was Ginsberg.
The
You're right. It was
dumbest fucks alive are outside. It's our worst nightmare.
Because there's people in Vietnam, they would get reports and be like, I don't know, like, what's going on back home? Like, I don't know, some fucking weird poet's trying to levitate the Pentagon. I'm like, motherfuckers, jerks.
Yeah, we sent 2 guys out there to beat the fuck out of him.
You went to West Point, right?
Very, very briefly. Yeah, a couple weeks.
Why did you? Why was it such a short tenure?
I knew I wasn't going to make it before I got there. The last like 2 months leading up to it, I was like, I made a huge mistake. And then as soon as I got there, I knew I made a huge mistake. Yeah, that was it.
Did it change your perspective on life? Is that what made you decide to become?
I mean, it was a giant, humiliating failure, so that probably helped.
Set you up for comedy.
I was young. I was like 17, and I experienced like a town-wide humiliation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my whole town was excited about it.
Oh, wow.
And 3 weeks later, I was on my parents' couch. They were like, "You fucking loser." Yeah,
I never thought about it like that.
yeah, it was a very.
I thought you just get out and be like, wasn't for me. But yeah, it's,
Yeah, I mean, you think that.
yeah,
No one's gonna care. No one's gonna make fun of me for the rest of my life.
true. Especially
Yep.
Central PA. Yeah.
Central PA, they were fucking pumped I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That book I'm reading right now, Vietnam Percasey, or Percasey, whatever it's called. They talk about how he's just like he's in high school. Him and his friend are like playing, soldiers at like 13.
Yeah.
17 comes around. He's like, bro, send me to the Marines. And I really think, because back then they didn't have the internet. So like, they're like, I'm going to join the Marines. I think they thought people would be like, welcome, hero. Here's your quest.
Yeah.
And you're just screamed at on a bus from day one. Like, get the fuck, I'll fuck your mom, you little bitch. And then you're just like, they got there and they're like, this isn't at all what we thought was going to happen.
Well, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
That does happen. And West Point, the same. Now, the boot camp's not like that serious.
Yeah.
But it is different, especially when you're recruited for football.
Yeah.
Every time I would go visit there, I'd be like, this place is awesome.
Oh, they
everyone's having a
fucking
blast,
tricked you.
dude. This is all great. And you get there and they're like,
Bitch.
yeah. And I wasn't as smart as everyone else there. And there was a lot. I did not belong. So.
Because after my year of regimentation at Shattuck St. James, I mean, that was it. I was done. And I hadn't really been turned on to church or God or anything like that. And they were really heavy on God and violence. And I just kind of discarded everything once I started getting high.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anxiety with my stepfather. And then I had a lot of anxiety with that school because it was very violent. And once I started getting high, that anxiety just kind of melted away from me.
Tight.
And that kind of was my trajectory. But being on the road at that point was a really good time because you'd meet other Dharma bums, and we were all young and idealistic and looking for ourselves, looking for the world, looking for America, and it was really a good time.
Then how'd that bleed into the 80s though? Because then the 80s, didn't that become a whole different thing?
The 80s was different. I got off the road when I was, I think about 82.
Okay.
I noticed one thing about my fellow Dharma bums. Dharma is the Pali word for truth, and bum is the American word for bum. And my fellow Dharma bums, as they got older, their Dharma was receding, which only leaves bum. So
I think that's how most bums, it's pretty typical. And then cocaine came around.
Yeah.
I did some of that,
Yeah. That probably changed the whole vibe. You guys became venture capitalists.
But I ended up at the University of Minnesota. They had a program where if you hadn't been to school in 4 years, you could take classes, and if you did well, you'd matriculate. And so that's what happened is I took classes. So nice. I got very lucky that they had that.
Sure, Golden Gopher.
Golden Gophers, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, that football team has sucked since 1960. Yeah. But
no, they got a guy right now. The coach is doing all right. Fleck, you go look
yeah.
Oh, you know about Fleck?
Yeah, I know about Fleck. Yeah.
He could row the boats, dude. They could be all right.
He's highly entertaining. He kind of reminds me of the Music Man, that musically, where he thinks that he's making people think that he's actually got a good football team.
He's doing all right.
But Ohio State beat the U of M like 41-3 or something.
That'll happen.
Yeah,
they'll do that to everybody. But they beat Nebraska.
They did
Gophers
beat Nebraska.
That was nice.
But Nebraska's been pretty bad since Tom Osborne split. So.
Damn, dude. I didn't know you knew Ball. Ball and Epstein? Let's go.
This is the Golden Gophers breakout combo. It's so nice, man. So you went to college. You're back.
I took philosophy class. I liked philosophy classes. Mm-hmm. Had it been not for philosophy class, I don't think I would have been able to make it through college. But I majored in philosophy. Well, actually, it was kind of a rigorous major. It was philosophy and hallucinogenics.
Sick.
And
Damn.
and which left me very confused.
Now you have Matt's attention.
You might be a master manipulator.
Yeah, dude, you're Mossad.
Yeah, that will get you.
But I love, to this day, I still love philosophy. I mean, I started reading philosophy when I was like 15, so Eastern philosophy. And I think that I took one journalism class, and I thought it was the most boring thing I'd ever encountered in my life. Because I was thinking about journalism, but I took that one class, and I said I could never do journalism.
Good for you.
Little did you know.
Well, I ultimately was hired by the University of Minnesota Medical School to write academic papers on things that had to do with ethics. And that was a good gig. I did it for about 5 years, and it paid really well. I mean, because you've got a philosophy degree, they're going to do that or teach or drive a cab, one or the other. And I liked doing that. I kind of was, my colleagues were, the hypocrisy was kind of getting to me. And I realized that I'm a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites. But my colleagues didn't realize their hypocrisy. So I felt like I was a superior hypocrite than them. Yeah. And when you start thinking that you're a superior hypocrite, they kind of push you out there. Yeah. But something happened. I had started to moonlight as a journalist. And there was this woman who she ran an organization that helped prostitutes get off the street. And she was a little crazy, but she said that there was a serial killer killing prostitutes. And the Minneapolis police, St. Paul police denied it.
Not in Minnesota.
Not in Minnesota, yeah. The nice Midwest.
Yeah.
And so I went to the State Bureau of, I think it's something, they gave me a readout of the age, the sex, and the way someone died. And then I went to the databases for the Minneapolis newspaper and St. Paul newspaper, and I compiled a list of 38 women who had been stabbed, strangled, or beaten to death in like the previous 8 years. And it was pretty damning. And I went to and most of them were prostitutes. And I went to the cops and I said, "You still want to see it? There's no serial killer." Yeah. And I went to the Minneapolis police, and I went to the St. Paul police. And then the article got published, and actually a task force was formed to catch this guy. They never caught him. I think there might have been up to 3 of them, but anyway, they were never caught. And I'd written these academic papers for 5 years, and I'd written a book that was, I thought, a pretty good book, or I'd co-authored a book, and it got nothing done. And here I write an article, and there's a task force formed. So that's why I kind of changed gears and got into journalism.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You got to look into Austin.
Yeah.
You might have something.
I mean, the FBI is even cop to it.
Yeah. How many... Do they? I guess it's a hard thing to have statistics on. Do they know how many serial killers are like on average in a country in a given time? Is there like always like 5 or 6 of them kicking around?
Okay, so the FBI, when I was writing about serial killers, I haven't written about, since I'm writing about government malfeasance, it's so much more evil than serial killers.
Yeah,
but
that's bad.
But the FBI said that there were 50 at any given time. But I talked to other people that said that it's more like probably 200.
Dang.
Yeah. Was that around MK Ultra? Isn't there like a correlation? Like people try to.
There's a really good book written by a guy named Dave McGowan, and he showed that a number of serial killers were either like in the Phoenix program, which was in Vietnam, or they'd been somehow entangled with the government. Some had been. He made an argument that some had been through MK Ultra. And it's called Program to Kill. Really a good book. Yeah. Really a good
book.
I mean, I'd strongly suggest it to anybody that's into serial killers and the government creating serial killers.
Dang.
Matt took LSD, and I've seen the darkness in his eyes since then. He might be Matt MK Ultra himself, but he's gonna strangle a hooker.
I need a conservatorship immediately. I need to move back in with my parents. I should move my whole family back in with my parents and be like, guys, I can't stop thinking about killing gay guys in Austin. Take me in. That'd be nice, actually.
What was your jump off point? Did you go to college or did you?
I did. I kept going to college after West Point. I went to Elon, failed out of there, went to Harrisburg Area Community College, and then I went to Westchester University. And then while I was at Westchester, I started doing stand-up a little. And that was it. Just kept doing stand-up.
And you were kind of hooked?
Yeah, for sure.
I read Lenny Bruce's book, How to Talk Dirty and Influence People. And the first time that he got up in front of a crowd and got laughs, he said he was hooked.
Yeah, that's typically how it works. How about you, Matt?
Same thing. Yeah.
You got the
When you
bug.
get the room laughing, you go, oh, this is a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And then you bomb and you go, I fucking hate myself. And then they laugh.
Especially
again.
outside of that, when the rest of your life you're a giant loser.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes once a week where you're like, yeah, maybe I'm cool.
So when I was hitchhiking, I lived on the ashram of a guru. And I might have talked about that with you guys. When I got there, I was really influenced by Eastern philosophy, the Beatles, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, all that Dharma bums, all that stuff. And I went and lived with this on the ashram of this Indian guru, and I was learning meditation and yoga. And one day, I was talking to the guru, and I could have sworn I smelled cigarettes on his breath. Now, he was an enlightened being, a celibate. He was like our conduit to God. And I went to one of the people on the ashram, who I'd eventually call the pod people. I went to one of the pods, and I said, I could have swore I smelled cigarettes on Swami's breath. That couldn't be possible, could it? And he goes, well, here's the thing with that. He has to have one vice to keep him tethered to this plane of reality. So he can teach us. And I went, oh, okay. And
I bet you he has 2 vices. I bet you there's another vice coming,
and
it's fucking all the women.
yes, that was the second one.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That's best case scenario.
Every single time. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, there could be a third.
And then the third
Some
one was
guys' butts, too.
embezzling money from his more affluent initiates.
Well, you got to be able to do it. It's the only way.
And I was thinking to myself, this guy must be very spiritually advanced if he has to do all that just to stay on this plane of reality so he can teach us.
It's happened to Bernie Madoff. He was just trying to stay down in this realm.
And then I got kicked out of there, and then I hitchhiked to New York, and where I stayed for a while, and then I hitchhiked around a little bit. I ended up in Arkansas with some hillbillies. I lived with some hillbillies, and they were, in Pulp Fiction, Zed and his buddy in the cellar.
Oh, no.
They kind of remind me of Zed and his buddy. And they liked me, though. I was a novelty, the Yankees. So I lived with them for a while, and I worked on a road crew. We were building a highway. We were getting paid $3.50 an hour, which was really hard work. And then they were kind of getting tired of me. And they had a lot of guns, and I didn't want to be a mound in the backyard. So I eventually hitchhiked around. And then I hitchhiked to L.A.
So did you meet them hitchhiking, or did you just kind of like wander into there? How do you kind of fall in with a bunch of hillbillies in Arkansas?
They pick you up hitchhiking.
Really?
Yeah. And that's the way it was back then. I mean, people would pick you up hitchhiking, and you could, sometimes they'd put you up for a night. Sometimes they'd put you up for, it all depended. I was a good guy to party with. I was fun. I'm not going to rip anybody off.
Yeah.
I didn't have any psychopathic inclinations. So people were pretty generous to me when I was hitchhiking around. And then I ultimately ended up in L.A., where I tried stand-up comedy.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
you were saying that.
And I would get loaded and then do the amateur night at the Comedy Store and at the Improv. And it wasn't, sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't.
Yeah, that can happen.
But I thought it was tough because at that point in my life, I did not have the self-esteem to handle bombing. And I think it takes a certain amount of self-esteem to handle bombing or self-delusion or something.
I would say more delusion.
Yeah, delusion.
Not a lot of steam going on.
And maybe a lack of self-esteem,
Yeah.
like a complete zero self-esteem to just be like, yeah, I know. After you bomb, you go, yeah, of course, I suck.
Yeah, get done and be like, those fools don't know anything.
Yeah, you can also hit that a lot, for sure.
No, it's always I suck.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to get to the point where you felt pretty comfortable on stage?
I don't know.
I at least, even just like pretty comfortable is like 14 years to where you're not like completely like, this sucks. I was just in Buffalo this weekend and I was pretty chill. I was back there like pretty confident. And I like thought back to, I think just like maybe 2 years ago, 3 max, when I did that place the first time. And I was like an absolute nervous wreck the entire week. I like remember it vividly. I had brought my wife. I had a baby at the time. And I remember just like didn't talk to her the whole time. I was like completely out of my head with nerves. I'd be in the green room like, this is wrong. I shouldn't be here. Like completely harsh on myself.
Get that.
Yeah.
I get that all the time.
Yeah, but this was like, maybe, I don't know. I'd be like, I was just on edge completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that bad anymore, but I was like, man, I was kind of happy about it. I'm like, damn, I don't know, I've made some progress on some weird metric inside, but yeah,
Were
I remember.
you nervous when you did the Netflix show?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous. Yeah, that was a bad feeling to see like 30 something people there to like film it, and you go, oh fuck, I'm the subject of this thing. You go, this is a mistake.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Where'd you get that cup?
My friend.
Thing's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. She's Jamaican too, so it kind of makes it count a little
That's
more.
awesome. She's Jamaican?
Yeah, it's my wife's friend.
You guys are sharing gifts?
Yeah, it's my wife's friend. She gifted me this coffee mug.
Real bad man.
23.
Real bad man.
She gave me the cup.
It wasn't me.
And you've got this sitcom. Is it
One day.
easy
Maybe
to
one day.
interact with other actors?
Most of the people on the show are just our friends
Okay.
from Philly. Yeah, it's very easy. It's very low pressure.
Because some comics can make the leap to sitcoms and other ones can't.
We'll see if we can keep it going.
I
That'd
like
be
the
nice.
show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
As I said, it's
My dad loves it too. He's always
Really?
like, yeah. My dad, he's like, he watches it all the time.
Matt's in it. Matt's got 2 episodes.
yeah.
Yep. I've been
What-
typecasted. I'm just a cop.
He's a cop.
People dude. I've been asked to do a cop too. I'm totally typecasted.
Really?
Just cops for
I
me.
mean, if you
dude.
get that crew cut, you're fully a fucking cop. You're fully a cop.
I've only had one other person ask.
You guys have become stars since I was first on the show, and I've just become old and grizzled. You know, it's
I'm getting pretty grizzled
You're dealing
too.
with some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, true. You need to hit,
Take
hit
it
the
out.
road. Hit the road again.
it does. I mean, that reality is so dark. To tell you the truth, I don't really know how it. When I first came across it in Omaha, and I saw how many kids had been destroyed and how it had been covered up, I just said, these fuckers are going to have to kill me to stop me. This is just too evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Epstein came along, and I thought, because I wrote a pretty good book on the Omaha network,
Yeah.
but we couldn't get it. People just didn't want to believe that the government would be involved in something like that. And then Epstein came along, and then that kind of gave me a second wind. And because I spent 7 years on that first book, and I was doing podcasts where people are asking me about the Illuminati and shapeshifting reptilians and shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I'd worked so hard on this book, and nobody was buying it. And now people are buying it a lot. So because of Epstein. I mean, Epstein has given the book a resurgence.
Wait, so what would you say when you'd be on those programs? They'd be asking about like shape-shifting reptilians. Would you just be
I
like...
would say something pretty snarky, and then they would get upset with me, and then that'd kind of be the end of a congenial conversation.
That would kind of piss me off if I spent 4 years researching and writing a book. You know, like, what about interdimensional reptilian avatars?
Well, I was. There were these I guess evangelical, they had a conspiracy show. I guess it was relatively big, and I'd never heard of them, but I talked to them like about a month before I was going to go on. I said, you guys should really read the book.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of apocrypha floating around on the internet about this. And then they called me up, and they were very happy, evangelical. Hey, Nick, how you doing? And and I asked them, did you read the book? And they said, no, but we've been cruising the internet, and we know a lot. And then, like, one of the first questions the dude asked me was about the Illuminati, and then there was some other crazy questions. I said, man, you obviously have not read this book. And
wasn't there some evangelicals in Florida in the book? Or whatever, didn't they say they were like a church group? That van of
the Finders.
Yeah, the Finders.
Oh yeah,
Well, that was just a weird cult.
Yeah.
And so the guy said, "Well, what politicians have been compromised?" And I said, "Well, it's really kind of impossible to explain to you the politicians that have been compromised unless you really understand the kind of power that was deployed to cover this up. There were 2 grand juries in Nebraska and 1 grand jury in D.C. that covered this up." So I can name names, but it wouldn't have any meaning without. And then he started going, "Who are the politicians? Who are the politicians?" And then, because I'd been a little snarky myself, so that was the end. And they were going to call me back and thank me for the interview, and they never did, man. I'm still waiting for that call. I think I hurt their feelings.
Yeah, what was the name of that? Wasn't it called like the Boys something? Or that was
Boys
the thing
Town
connected to the Franklin scandal and all that stuff?
Yeah, the pimps were getting kids from the Boys Town, which is probably the most iconic, famous orphanage in the world. I was just talking to one of those kids earlier today. This kid, man, he's been through hell. His mother was a schizophrenic, and he was put in multiple foster care homes, and where he was molested. And then he went to Boys Town when he was 12. And he was picked to be one of the kids that was flown around.
Jesus.
And this is actually in the book. He couldn't take it anymore because some of these pedophiles are very sadistic, like what happened to Virginia Giuffre with Ehud Barak. Some of these pedophiles are, and then after a weekend of very sadistic treatment, he went to they have houses and house parents in Boys Town, and he said, "I can't take it anymore. I can't take." And Boys Town put him on a plane to Atlanta the next day and deposited him in a psychiatric institution.
Dang.
Where he was there for a year. And some of the other victims that I talked to that were molested at Boys Town, the exact same thing. They've been put in psych. Now, it's entirely possible that going through something like that could really mess you up psychologically, but it's also a great way to say, if this kid comes forward and says, "I was molested," yeah, he's a head case. We don't worry about him.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, it's kind of it's been dark, but the thing is, I've been at it for so long. And with Epstein, I see light. I mean, I just think it would be, according to the Centers for Disease Control, 25% of underage girls and 5% of underage boys have been molested in our country. And people in the field think it's slightly conservative for girls and very conservative for boys. But if you just go with the CDC numbers, you got 50 million kids. Eesh. So I think that for us to put even a dent in that, it'd be good if the government didn't aid and abet child trafficking.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the first step in kind of cleaning up our society. We'll never get rid of it, but we can definitely take a first step by making sure that the government doesn't facilitate it anymore.
That is a fucked up statistic, man. When you get into how high that is, that's terrible.
I mean, if you could take one thing out of society, if you could take child molestation out of society, the prisons wouldn't be filled. The psychiatric hospitals wouldn't be filled. A lot of people in those types of institutions have been molesting these kids.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm really fortunate. There was emotional, verbal, and physical abuse, but I was never sexually abused. When I started hitchhiking around as a kid, though, I started hitchhiking not interstate, but just around Minneapolis when I was like 15 years old. And I'd get picked up by guys that would hit on me occasionally. And, I'd just say, stop the car.
Pull over. I got to pee.
Just sprint.
Damn.
So, and like I said, when I was 12, when I ran away the first time, I mean, I would have been susceptible to something like that. By the time I was 15, I was just too cynical and angry to be subjected to something like that.
For sure. Damn, that's fucking bullshit.
I gotta go back to, I think, was it in the Franklin scandal? Was Clarence Thomas at a party in DC?
Clarence is a perv.
All right.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hold on. But the point was, there's people you could get invited to these parties.
Yeah.
And now you're just on this fucking list.
But
and you're like, damn, I thought fucking Clarence Thomas was there. I thought this was above board. You know what I mean? Or like
Clarence isn't above board.
I don't know much about it. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so Anita Hill, there was she said against Anita Hill. Now there were 7 women that were ready to testify against Thomas. And actually there was one that had been subpoenaed. Her name was Angela Wright. And she was going to back up Anita Hill. And then Biden lifted her subpoena. And Biden said that he lifted her subpoena because she asked for it to be lifted. And she said that that's not the case, that he was lying, that she wanted to testify. So Thomas had done this to a number of women. There was a book called Strange Justice. It was written by a former, I think, New York Times or New Yorker reporter named Jane Mayer. And there was also, Thomas was talking to Anita Hill about porn stars too. I don't know if you remember that, but he lived right around the corner from a video store. And that's where he spent most of his time, is in the adult section. So
what? How do you know that?
Because Jane Mayer.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. That could happen to anybody. At least it was the fucking adult section.
True.
But you're not a Supreme Court justice. So.
True.
Yeah, and also, that was, God, that must have been crazy having to go in there. Just your regular Blockbuster, turn the corner, get the porn in front of everybody.
Yeah.
I remember poking my head behind the curtains as a boy and being like, one day it'll all be mine. No idea it'd be all on my phone. I was like, just let me in there, please.
He was head of the Equal Opportunity Commission at that point. So he was pretty much incognito. But Thomas.
Wait, so how'd you know he was always in the section, though?
What's that?
How'd you know he was?
Because she interviewed someone who owned that store.
Oh.
And said that.
Damn.
That he was always.
Yeah.
That's where his first stop was. Probably his only stop, I think.
That stinks, dude.
And that dude makes decisions that affect every American.
Yeah.
And his wife is crazy too. I mean, his wife is.
He's probably driving her nuts.
I think she might have been driven nuts before, but she called up Anita Hill, saying that Anita Hill should recant her accusations towards her husband, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
kind of like Hillary.
Kind of like Hillary.
Yeah, Hillary made some calls, didn't she?
I think Hillary's probably made a lot of calls.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I had no idea. I always thought it was truly a thing concocted to like take the guy down.
I was raised on that too.
Yeah,
that Anita Hill was kind of a witch hunt type thing.
No, there were a bunch of women.
What about Kavanaugh? Do you have any insight into that? Do you think, because that's how it got framed to me? It was like they did it to Thomas, they did it to Kavanaugh.
So with Kavanaugh, I was on Twitter and some guy said, "Well, that woman lacks credibility," and I said, "Well, which woman?" Because there's been other women that have come out and talked about Kavanaugh. But it makes sense. I mean, people that are susceptible to being compromised, it can really enhance their career. And I think that, I mean, I see that all the time.
True.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
think
how me and Matt got big.
What's that?
That's how me and Matt got big.
Yeah.
Luckily, we only had to do stuff with each other. So.
Yeah, we just had to kiss in front of Clarence Thomas. We had to make out in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I wonder too. Just playing devil's advocate. Do you ever think there's a way to weaponize kind of victims against political opponents? Because I always wonder about that too.
That's entirely impossible. But
Because the same people weaponizing child sex, you don't think they can be like, let's just send a woman out there that says this happened?
yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible.
It looks like there's no, depth they won't go to.
It's rare though. He's a retired judge. His name is Patrick Schultz. He represented various Catholic dioceses in 500 sexual abuse cases.
Jeez.
And he was interviewed by the New York Times, and he felt like of the 500 cases that he'd litigated, that less than 10 were lying. So it's very rare. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
For sure, I hear what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
if you're going to come out and say such and such molested me, the amount of fire that's going to be pointed at you is really intense. So I can see why there's all kinds of victims that will never open their mouths. And that's the other thing with Epstein. If Epstein gets covered up, those 50 million Americans that have been molested as minors, I mean, they're going to think that they have no hope for justice at all.
Yeah.
That they've got no voice.
Yeah, I mean, my idea now with it is it's going to be like a political football they're going to kick around. Like they keep talking about the JFK papers. They're like, we're going to release the JFK papers, and it's like maybe they already released them. I haven't heard anything kind of new or groundbreaking come out of that. So, do you think they'll keep it as that kind of like a carrot on a stick sort of thing? Like, oh, I'll do it.
Wait, the thing with Trump is he makes a lot of promises, and I got to give it to him. He said that there would be transparency in the Epstein case, whereas his predecessors have completely covered it up and didn't mention it.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, I think Trump thought that he could open up Pandora's box just slightly
tiny bit,
and then slam it shut. And that's just not the case with this. There's a lot of Americans, because the government shouldn't be covering up child sexual abuse, which is the same thing as aiding and abetting it. So the government, but we've got 89% of Americans that want full disclosure here. And, our government, the majority of our government wanted a single payer system when Obama did Obamacare. Mm-hmm. We didn't want all these HMOs that have become part of the Obama healthcare plan. And the government completely disregarded the will of the American people. The American people wanted us out of Iraq. Like 80% of Americans wanted us out of Iraq after a certain point, and our government didn't. I mean, a bunch of us, the majority want Gitmo shut down. The government doesn't care. I mean, the bank crisis. I mean, Americans didn't want to bail out a bunch of rich bankers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What we did. So our government continually goes against the will. But this is a different thing. This is our children. And people don't think that my child isn't going to get molested, but I'm sure that many of the parents of victims molested by Epstein never thought that their child would get molested.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's like, I got a bad feeling about this kid.
For sure. Yeah, it's not on anyone's radar. It's true. I've been instructed, I don't think people do sleepovers anymore really like that. I've heard sleepovers are a thing in the past, man.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, it's just like, dude, I guess so many people now are, I guess now that this stuff's even talked about at all, people are comfortable enough.
I never even considered that. There were times I'd go to sleep at my friend's house and my parents would be like, no. Now, not that they would think that back then,
yeah,
but
yeah.
now I'd be like, yeah, what the fuck? You think
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking diddle these kids?
Yeah, dude.
What the I'd be so offended if they're like, you can't sleep over there.
I know, but I think now it's like parents are just being like, let's just not just because you just have no idea. So they're like, yeah, we're just kind of doing blanket policy. Like, dude, you guys can. I think they'll let you hang out till like 11 p.m. and they take you there, and then they drop you back off in the morning so you can like kind of have a semi sleepover experience. You just don't know. It could be some weird uncle there. You know, it's like you'd have to really know the people.
I was visiting a friend of mine who lives outside Seattle, and her son was going out with this woman he met in high school. And the parents came over to meet my friend and the son, and vet them, which I thought was kind of somewhat responsible.
That's cool.
We live in a strange time. It's very different than, I'm like an antiquated relic, but it's life has changed a lot since I was a kid, and it's changed a lot since you guys have been kids too.
True that. Well, hopefully, man, good luck with that. Hopefully it works out and they get some kind of thing rolling.
Well, we started Epstein Justice, and it's a 501c3, and I think that we're growing. It's been a tough slog, but Epstein Justice is growing, and our plan, the way that it is now with Massey, they need a majority, as I said, a majority in the discharge position, then they need a majority in the House, and then they need a majority. Then John Thune has to give the thumbs up, and then it's voted on in the Senate, and then Trump has to sign it. And that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So what we're proposing is an independent congressional commission where we just need a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. We don't need any. We don't need a sign off by the president. And we're growing. It's been a tough slog, but people are so alienated. They do not think that they can affect change in their system, and they've been conditioned that way. But at Epstein Justice, we're saying, join us. We can affect change. We can make something happen here, because these crimes are just so horrific, and they've been so blatantly covered up that I think people are ready for a change now. They know something is really wrong with their government, but I don't think they understand the depths of the depravity of many of our leaders.
Do you think the average person could even handle if they did like, all right, fine, open it completely? What do you think the real effect of that would be in terms of like the everyday citizen or anyone really just kind of like glimpsing into it and having to like put that all together? I think it would just like crush them.
Well, what would you guys say? Would you guys be relieved to say that the system is getting fleshed out?
Yeah, I'd be like, this is definitely good. But also, too, it's like, yeah, it's just tough. Because if it is people who are either politically super powerful or like, billionaire class, like they're not going to let that happen.
Well,
never.
But here's the thing. There's 320 million Americans. And how many of if like labor's rights, that was a slog.
Yeah.
Civil rights, that was a slog. Women's rights, that was a slog. Gay rights, that was a slog. This can be done.
True.
Children's rights can be done. We can do that if we decide to. If Americans decide to do this, we can do this. It's really up to us.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I don't want to be naysaying it. I'm just kind of just thinking it through. Yeah, that's a fair point. And no, you don't really think about the kids' rights are infringed upon at all, really. So yeah, it's a weird one because there's not like a government. Well, I guess there kind of technically there is. They're saying, but well, good luck. I hope that works out.
Yeah.
Really. I think it'd be good for people to know, just like, all right, we gotta get to peek into this thing and maybe shift some things around big time.
EpsteinJustice.com.
There you go.
My brother,
EpsteinJustice.com.
my brother is an evangelical and is very susceptible to denial. And I saw him at Thanksgiving, and I said, that the government covered up Epstein's pedophile network.
Nice.
You know that, right?
I did the same thing at Thanksgiving.
Well, it's just one of those icebreakers.
Yeah. Right before pass me
fun.
the cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
And he said, I know. And I was stunned because there's a guy that doesn't think the government does anything wrong.
Yeah.
I think what really helped it was Trump covering it up.
Yeah.
Or putting it away, because now all the Democrats are like Epstein. So now everyone's kind of like, it was always like a MAGA thing to be like Epstein files.
Yeah.
And then when Trump was on the other side of it, of the left does whatever he doesn't want. So now everyone's kind of united in this, you know?
But I'm pretty sure that there are people on the left that are compromised too.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's why it's been covered up under two.
For sure. I just mean the people that are paying attention.
Yeah, they're reigniting the passion. Yeah.
Because when I started tackling this issue, no one, I mean, I would pitch it to editors at magazines in New York City, and I could see the wheels going around. They would say, well, you know, this is really a horrible story. I need to help Nick Bryant. Or the cognitive dissonance would come in, and I can write Nick Bryant off as crazy, and I can have a nice dinner with my family tonight. I mean, that was, and, you know, I knew most of them would be spineless, but I didn't think all of them would be spineless. And, you know, I had some really good friends that were very high up in publishing. And one of them actually apologized to me, which I thought was really cool.
That's nice.
Years after the fact, but he said, you know, Nick, I could have been a better friend to you.
I get it though. If I'm editing like Good Housekeeping and I'm like 3 fall decorations you can't do without, you're like, yeah, I don't know if that would fit.
But getting the Franklin scandal published was tough too, because I gave a book proposal to my agent, good agent. And I was summarily banished from that agency pretty quickly.
Dang.
And then I gave it to another agent who's also a very good agent, and he couldn't get anybody to sell it, or to buy it. So we finally got a small publisher on the West Coast finally bought it. So
Nice.
and at that point I had so much evidence. I mean, I had a grand jury's worth of sealed testimony and exhibits. I mean, I was able to prove it because of all that grand jury stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy. Well, dude,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Well, thanks for stopping by, man.
hey,
It's always good to see you.
yeah.
yeah, keep.
Whenever
doing it.
I'm in Austin,
Yeah,
I always
please
like
come
to
by.
stop by. Yeah.
Please, keep updating us.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find any real information.
Yeah,
about
that's
all
the
of
big
us.
thing.
Well, you can always look at me as a beacon of truth.
We will continue to.
Yeah.
And I like your audience too. When I go on bigger podcasts, the bots come and they try to undermine my character various ways. But when I read the comments,
What's up, guys?
Hey. What up?
Hey, just hanging, talking naturally. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. We're doing it's like hopscotch.
Nick Rochefort, welcome.
Thank you.
Nate, welcome as always.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is the
Dude,
finale.
so yeah, we've been doing no.
Oh,
This
okay,
is
okay,
going to be
okay.
I think 5 of 6.
Okay.
I was going to try to get all the way through.
Yeah.
So we've been doing Conquistador by Buddy Levy, who he just wrote basically about Hernan Cortez taking Mexico. He went and just absolutely took the country.
He's been dominating.
Dominated completely. Also, no one told him to do that.
Really?
No, he had no legal authority whatsoever. He was supposed to, like a good boy, go out for Velasquez, who was his patron or whatever, to go get slaves. That was his orders. He was ordered to do that. He bucked on that. He goes, "I'm just going to take a whole fucking country."
You had one job.
One job. Your job was
Get me slaves.
get slaves. Instead, he took a whole country and he cut the guy completely out of the deal. Cortez was a bit of a bastard.
Yeah.
Bit of a bastard. Yeah, this guy gave him like 7 or 8 ships and like 400 guys and the cavalry and all that stuff. It's like, yo, go, scout some shit out. Let me know. Come back. And Cortez was just like, peace.
I told you never to fuck me, Tony.
So, yeah. So here's what we started off. We ended on chapter 9. I'll kind of bring you up to speed. That's basically what happened. Cortez just was commissioned ships to go find slaves and do some recon on some like potential colonies. Breaks bad, just goes and does his own thing. And the whole time he's like, he's fighting some of the Mayans. He was fighting Aztecs, different, like there was like people that weren't Mayan or Aztec. Apparently there's like different groups.
How was he fighting the Maya and the Aztecs?
The Mayans were like scattered, but they were like the civilization had fallen, but it was like the same guys in the Yucatan. So they were like Mayan offshoots. They weren't. It wasn't like the Mayan civilization.
Mm-hmm. It was like the 4th Street Locos, not the OG Crips.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, he's been kind of carving his way through. You know, he had some. And they were like smashing. Like these guys would go against. It'd be like 400 dudes versus like 15, 20,000 Indians, but they had horses, and these guys had never seen a horse before. So when a guy was on a horse, they would be like, "This is a mythical creature we're being attacked by."
Wow.
So the horse would fly at these guys, and there'd be cannons blowing them up, and it would scatter. So these guys were kind of like rocking it. But right, so then where we left off was Cortez and his men just get to Tenochtitlan, which is modern day Mexico City.
Okay.
That's where the Aztecs, where Montezuma was set up. So they had just gotten inside of that city. And Cortez, that's like they were kind of like vibing out a little bit, Cortez and Montezuma. But eventually Cortez kept being like, "Yo, dude, you know your religion's bullshit, right?" And Montezuma would be like, stop saying that.
In the temple.
He brought him this temple. It's only like, there's only been like 10 guys, kind of like the Jewish temple where like the Holy of Holies, only like the highest rabbi was allowed in there. It's a similar setup where it was like Montezuma was like, "Check this out. It's our most sacred temple." Cortez went in and was like, it was like the hummingbird god of war. Cortez walks in, he goes, "Dude, you know this is like all demon bullshit. Like you should just worship Jesus Christ." Montezuma kicked him out. And then so they are living in Tenochtitlan. All the Spaniards are in Tenochtitlan, and they start to realize that it's the ultimate trap because the way it was set up was it's on just rivers. It's surrounded by water, so the only way into the city is these minor like bridges. So Cortez and his men are in there, and they're like, "Fuck! If they like take these bridges out, we're trapped, and we're gonna die." And their horses couldn't get. They needed like the open plains to like get speed and charge at them.
Whoa!
So they're basically in a death trap, and during all that, that's when Cortez did take Montezuma at knife point because he just rolled in basically and was like, they had a secret meeting, and he was like, "Yo, I heard you were talking to another Spaniard behind my back," and he thought he set up some sort of military thing against him. So they actually took Montezuma prisoner at knife point in his own. Did you ever hear about that? How they just like, so Cortez was there. There's literally like maybe 40, 50,000 soldiers, and he has like 400. But he was like chilling with Montezuma because they were kind of like, they were fake boys. They were both kind of using each other. And Cortez got word that like his village got attacked, or his like personal city he set up like miles back got attacked under Montezuma's orders. So he's like, "Montezuma, let's talk." And then he just was like, had his boy hold a sword to him, like, "I'll stab you right fucking now. You're our prisoner until we figure this out." And for some reason, no one knows why, Montezuma was like, "Fine, but can we tell everyone this is my idea?" He kind of subbed out.
He's like Vince McMahon with like the Bret Hart situation. Like no one really knows the truth.
No one knows, dude, because he was like literally, dude. The Aztec civilization was like, it was like really impressive. They had like millions of tributes. They it was like pretty advanced. And for some reason, when fucking Cortez and like 10 dirty Spanish guys like held him at sword point, he was like, "I'll live with you guys. My bad." So he had to live as their like secret prisoner. And historians think that he got kind of like a bad case of Stockholm syndrome, where he just like started helping them. Like it makes no sense at all. Other than them being like, "We'll fucking stab you," because I feel like if he had screamed in his palace, he had thousands of guards. But I guess it was like, well, if I scream, I'll get stabbed.
Yeah.
I wonder if he kind of started believing that his gods were bullshit. Like he looked at this hummingbird and was like, "Hummingbird."
And he also had a hummingbird nose ring made out of jade. So he probably felt dumb as fuck, dude. He had a hummingbird nose ring. Cortez was like, "Dude, that shit's so fucking lame, dude. Your shit is so fucking dumb."
Wow.
Because they were like cutting people's faces off and wearing their skin and like,
like a frazzle drip. Yeah. Hell yeah. That's where they got it from.
yeah. And Cortez would try to be like, imagine if you just had like a child's face on for an hour, and as a guy was like, "What are you even doing, man?"
Yeah.
They're like, "No, this is sick." And he's like, "Dude, that's so dumb."
He's like, "Sure, fuck you. I'll take you to the piercing pagoda to get you a matching nose ring. We can be friends." Was that a detail in the book that there was a hummingbird nose ring?
Yeah. They always talk about like how fucking fly these Aztecs were, and they were kind of dripped out of big silks. They were real. They didn't even care about the gold. All they cared about was these giant feathers. That was like the shit they really cared about. So they're giving the Spaniards gold, being like, if you guys want this shit, whatever.
Yeah, but I got these feathers and these nose rings. they were like Coachella girls.
Yeah. And they're like, we're on our way to go chop like 9 virgins' heads off. So,
What a waste.
yeah, it's pretty chill.
Right. What a waste.
So, long story short, that's kind of the preamble. Montezuma gets trapped by Cortez. So now, we're in chapter 10 in the book Conquistador. So Montezuma is a prisoner, and in this actually it was his dad's old palace where Cortez and his men were staying. And he was just like chained to the wall for some reason, but he would still kind of hold court, and like his advisors would come to him and he'd be like, nah, dude, I'm just like feeling them out. He like wouldn't admit that he was
Got him right where I want him.
it was really weird. But then the whole time though, they were kind of hanging out because they would gamble all day. It was Cortez and all of his high officers, and Montezuma would play some like Aztec dice game and gamble. So they were like kind of having fun. But again, it's like nobody knows why he stuck with this, because he stuck with it for months. They were like hanging out and he was their captive, and he was basically ruling the city while being kind of puppeted by Cortez. And it was like, I don't know if he was like a massive sub and he didn't know that.
Well, I mean, could it have been a strategic play to keep the 40,000 at bay? To be like, look,
his guys?
like, listen, not only am I not, I could kill you, but also it's going to be worse than that. You're going to like, I think maybe Cortez was the Vince McMahon, and he was like, if I fuck you up, the 40,000 are going to flip out. They could revolt. I'm fucked. They're going to blow the bridge up. You're going to like say it's cool. You're going to come, and then it's I don't know.
So no, it was weird. No one knows, but Cortez is definitely paranoid. So he's kind of.
He's still letting his boys visit though. Montezuma's boys.
Yeah, it's only his high counselors, and they were like sworn to secrecy. Like, yo, just tell everyone it's cool. Like,
and he's chained up.
Yeah, like I'm doing. But he was like him himself, or Montezuma himself was considered like half man, half god. So he was telling them like, no, the gods told me to do this. So they were like, all right, that's fucking weird. So then Cortez is getting a little paranoid. He's like, damn, we're stuck in the city. Ever since I've razzed him about his temple, he's been kind of acting weird to me. So Cortez orders a bunch of ships be built. He has like the Aztec guys build them a bunch of warships to put on Lake Texcoco, which is like Lake Mexico. I don't know what it's called, but so he builds like 3 giant ships, and then he starts taking Montezuma on, like, he would call them pleasure cruises. And they were just
kissing the whole time.
I think they might have smashed, honestly.
It's like, yo, your nose ring's fire. Come here, dude. I'm by.
The first swingers cruise.
So the population's just watching Montezuma just like basically like on a party boat. But Cortez was doing military recon, like seeing what was up. They're using the boats to like, he was like, Montezuma, tell me where all your gold mines are. So like all these people were watching, like, they're like, dude, Montezuma's just giving away the whole fucking thing. So this guy, Cacama, that was his name. He was the Lord of Texcoco, which is like a little area outside of Tenochtitlan. He was like, yo, let's kill these fucking Spaniards. He tries to get an uprising going to free Montezuma. Montezuma snitches. Tells Cortez, like, yo, dude, they're going to try to kill you. And so I think he just fucking killed the guy.
Damn.
Maybe he was whack.
Huh?
Maybe Cacachita was kind of whack.
Cacama might have been whack.
He's just like whack. They're like, yeah, dude, that guy's a fucking herb. Dude. I hate him. He runs his mouth a lot. Like, I don't really like that guy. He's gonna try to kill you.
I liked him.
So yeah, Cacama actually, I think it just gets kidnapped. I think they kill him later, but that crisis is averted. But Cortez is like, dude, we need Montezuma. It's like, clearly the streets are talking. So he goes, yo, Montezuma, go hit your balcony, gather everyone here, and tell them that the Spaniards are the prophesized returning gods. Because there was a thing about Quetzalcoatl coming back. And Quetzalcoatl, according to Aztec legend, there was a king from the east, which is where the Spaniards came from, who had like pale skin and blonde beards. And that's what the Spaniards kind of looked like.
Whoa.
So they were dealing with that. So Montezuma has to like, they have this big council. He brings all of like the leaders throughout the land, people or whatever. And he's like, yo, Spaniards are the prophesized gods. We're swearing vassalage to Spain. And then like people just start crying. And Montezuma, as he was saying this, like literally started bawling. He was like, we are inferior to them. These guys are our, they're our superiors. And then he just cried in front of the whole council.
Jeez.
It's fucking, dude, the humiliation is crazy.
That's one of the biggest fall offs of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now that they're all vassals, every single area outside of there's Tenochtitlan, there's all these giant cities surrounding it. All of them have to just start pouring gold in. So the Spaniards just amass this like massive fucking fortune. And now it's like the dudes are like, all right, we're owed wages for the 2 years we've been here. And like once they had to give the king's royal fifth. Cortez took his royal fifth. Then they had all these guys at this other camp. So these guys, just one of his guys started realizing like, we just got 100 peso. They got like 100 peso piece gold, or it was worth 100 pesos. So a lot of his soldiers being like, it's not even that much money. They melted down their pay and just got guys to make them cool chains.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty
All
tight.
I conquered the country, and all I got was a Fuck.
So then, Cortez is like, all right, I guess we got the vassalage going. And then, after he's kind of like sitting there, he's like, all right, he makes them actually install a statue of the Virgin Mary in their temples and swear no more human sacrifice. So Cortez is kind of rocking, but then he gets news. Everything's going good. He gets news that there's 18 Spanish warships coming off the coast. And the guy Velasquez I talked about, his old patron, he sent basically the troops after him.
Okay.
So Cortez, after thinking everything's sweet, learns basically there's 18 warships with a force triple the horses, triple the guys. All of them are fresh or not, they're not like half starved and like sweating for 2 years.
Bent out of shape wearing a gold chain.
Yeah. So he's like, oh shit. And the orders are basically to kill him or capture him.
Okay.
So Cortez is kind of spazzing out. And the reason the way Velasquez, his sponsor, even heard about all the gold is Cortez worrying about like the legality of what he was doing, shipped a huge shipment of gold to Spain. He got a couple of his boys. He's like, take this to the king immediately. Don't stop anywhere. If the king sees this gold, maybe he'll commission me officially, and I don't have to worry about this fucking Velasquez guy who wants to kill me. So 2 of his boys go to Spain, and they ignored the orders and stopped in Cuba. And then one of the servants like went to clean the ship, saw the gold, and then told on everybody. Velasquez found out, so that's how he sent the shit after him. Damn. His boys fucked up.
Like the guys cleaning the mats in Bloodsport that found the gold coin.
The what?
The guy cleaning the mats in Bloodsport. Remember when he finds the gold coin? Like, fuck.
It was similar to that.
These guys are cruising around the across the Atlantic Ocean quickly like that. They're like, go.
I think back then it was just like months. It was like, hit it. Yeah, it's 6 miles an hour. 7,000 miles.
Go to Spain with the gold, then come back quickly. It's fucking crazy. All right. Yeah, it just sounds. Don't stop. Yeah, I'm gonna stop over in Cuba, grab some fucking drinks, and then we're just gonna bop over. Okay, so they go over and then they got caught.
What the hell? Did they give me the bullshit version of the notes? They fucking did, those bastards. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to go to my old notes. They gave me very summarized. I was wondering, like, why is this shit so goddamn dry? They gave me the bullshit version. Hold on, Gardini. Oh, yeah, that was the one thing that made me laugh, too. So, like, when Cortez, just jumping back, when Cortez decided to be like, you guys got to do the Virgin Mary in here, he went up to the most sacred temple and started hacking at, like, idols with a sword. Just didn't break anything. He just started smacking them, and everyone was like, fuck is this guy's problem?
It was cringy.
Yeah, it was cringe. It was cringe.
Chill.
All right. So Cortez is kind of bugging out, like, what the fuck, man? Why the fuck, and his guys basically fucked him over. And yeah, basically Velasquez is coming after him. It's a big worm smoky situation.
Yeah.
Velasquez is coming like, bro, where is it? Blah, blah, blah. So the guy in charge of Velasquez's operation was one of his trusted lieutenants. His name was Panfilo de Narvaez. And Narvaez was a giant, jacked redhead with a glass eye. He had one good eye. He had a booming voice. This is actually a nice description of him. It said, quotes, it was very deep and hoarse as if it came from a vault.
Whoa.
I kind of wish people would. Yeah, that's nice.
With one eye?
Yeah, one eye. He had one glass eye and giant redhead with one-eyed redhead. So Narvaez is heading over. He's got he's like, dude, I'm giving you triple the fleet he had. You're going to smash this guy. But Narvaez is being overseen by this like official delegate to the crown. So like it was like, the king of Spain had like his own advisors that would go to these colonies and just oversee shit. So this guy, Lucas Vasquez de Ayllón, was basically like a judge who just kind of was like looking over Narvaez's shoulder. And Narvaez didn't like this at all because he was the boss. But, he was like, I have a higher boss than me, and I don't fucking like this shit.
It was like Mike Tyson and Don King, kind of.
Yes, very much. He didn't like this.
It's my little beast I got.
Yeah. So originally Narvaez's armada was 19 ships, and one of them got wrecked due to weather. But the 18 ships that made it had 800 soldiers, doubled to Cortez, 20 cannons, archers, musket guys, and also 80 cavalry, which was 4 times as many horses as Cortez had. Sheesh. It's bad. So back in Tenochtitlan, Cortez finds out that Montezuma has known about this armada for a while and confronts him like, kind of like, what the fuck? Montezuma tells Cortez to chill. And Montezuma was kind of like sending letters to this guy, Narvaez, being like, bro, fuck Cortez up. I can't wait till you fuck. He backstabbed him.
Oh wow, yeah, he's over here crashing out against the wall, stabbing a stone wall, corning out. Like, get this guy's a herb.
This fucking guy out of here.
Pussy.
But he told him, he goes, dude, he tells Cortez, he's like, yo, like, you have plenty of time. Now you can finally get the fuck out of Mexico, which is all Montezuma ever wanted. He's like, Cortez, please get the fuck out of Mexico. And, you know, and withholding the fact that, though, like, the level of his correspondence had been like Montezuma was like, yeah, I knew he was coming, but I wanted to feel it out before I really told you. But he's like, yeah, it's looking bad. But the letters exchanged were like, dude, I can't wait till you beat this guy up. Cortez didn't know that. He didn't know it was that level. But basically, he was like, all right, I'll be back. So Cortez is like, I'm going to get a small force. We're going to leave Tenochtitlan, which again was risky because it was like they're already outnumbered. And Cortez was like the power broker. So he was leaving now, like halving his force. And like, you know, it's like you were saying, like now they have to ride on horseback and basically walk from like Mexico City to Cancun.
Jeez, that's
like on the double. That's the thing. Like getting there, they almost all died. So they're like, all right, we just got to run back there to Cancun real quick. And so he was like, fuck, let's get like, I'll get 100. I'm going to take 80 guys with me, leaving 120. And we're going to meet up with our guys back in our original town that we founded more towards like the Yucatan Peninsula. And so he's like, we got to go back and like stop this Narvaez guy, and we're wildly outnumbered. So Cortez, he's a bit of a dealer, man. He sends a priest, Father Olmedo, with a small escort to kind of like, I guess, a head quicker to greet this Narvaez guy. And he like gave him a bunch of gold. So he was like, dude, go find all of his top officers and just bribe them.
perfect.
Kind of a sweet deal. He goes, bribe them. He goes, you know, and try to like tell the guy Narvaez to chill, not kill me.
Yeah.
So he's like, just bring gifts, bring gold, see if you can swing his guy. Like, just same thing, like promise them limitless riches.
Yeah.
See how they respond.
I can fix your eye.
Yeah. Laser. I get some LASIK.
Yeah.
So, okay. So he goes, so Father Olmedo goes back. Narvaez now, he hits the shore. He's doing his own recon. So he ends up finding 3 of Cortez's Spaniards camped up in a small village after recovering from some sort of illness. And, you know, he gives them a bunch of food and wine, and they get all drunk. And they're kind of like disgruntled employees for Cortez. And they're like, bro, Cortez fucking sucks. He's not paying us. So they spill the beans on Cortez's city that he founded. It's Veracruz. That's Cortez's city.
Okay.
The city of the one true cross. That's what it means. And so Narvaez then dispatches his own priest with a couple of guys to go to Veracruz to be like, yo, go try the same thing. I guess you would say like, priests wouldn't get killed.
Yeah.
So you can kind of use them for like recon work back then. So Narvaez dispatches his own priest with a couple of guys to go to Veracruz to read a letter stating that Cortez was a traitor with no legal claim to the place, to Mexico. And like, go tell him basically we're going to come fuck Cortez up. And Cortez is like one of his top guys, Sandoval, who was in charge of Veracruz. Mm-hmm. As soon as they get there, he was like, what'd you say? And they're like, Cortez is a traitor. And he threw a net over all 3 of them. He netted them and
he
had
netted
them,
their priest.
He netted, yeah. He netted them. The priest and
this is the redhead's
his 2
priest.
escorts. Yeah, the redhead's priest gets netted. He captured his fucking bishop, and then he puts them in nets, and then has like Indians basically carry them on horseback all the way to Tenochtitlan. Because he's like, go say that shit to Cortez's face. So they just fucking. These guys are all like 23 years old, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
They were all like young as fuck.
Power moves. Tom Sandoval.
Nothing.
Vanderpump Rules.
I mean, dude, getting trapped in a fucking net and carried by Indians all the way to Tenochtitlan, like, yo, go say it to his fucking face.
Now you have a big rash.
Yeah, you're fucked. You rope burn.
Yeah.
So these guys, after the priest and his 2 guards, there was like a 90-mile, like across literally like mountains and a volcano kind of area. They get carried right outside of the city. We're in Tenochtitlan. And Cortez, I guess, had gotten a letter somehow. But the funny thing, too, is these Indians, so they're all like teamed up with different Indian groups. They had these guys, their jobs were just to run from like city to city to give messages. So they had like this network of like guys that were basically text messages.
Yeah.
So they'd go run as fast as you fucking
Because I'm
can.
wondering how words traveling so fast, like passenger pigeon or something.
It was
like
Indian boys, and they'd be like, run, and you would just fucking fly to a city.
Sir, you're never going to believe. Not going to believe what he said, sir.
So Cortez, he got word somehow. So he goes, all right, when the netted men arrived, drop them off outside the city. And he had one of his bros cut their nets and be like, dude, they always throw the Indians on the bus. They go, these fucking guys are assholes, man. I can't believe they treated you like this. And he lets them ride into Tenochtitlan in style. And again, Tenochtitlan was like it was like dreamlike for a Spaniard. Like they had never seen, it looked like they had half the buildings were somehow built over water itself. So it looked like the city was floating. It was crazy.
Wasn't it like the advanced, like all the stonework was like hyper, like
stonework. They had entire fields of crops that were floating on basically in lakes too. That was a big thing. It looked like fucking insane to them. So they're just like, what the fuck? So they get to ride in style into Tenochtitlan. It's all according to Cortez's plans, just like they could glimpse the grandeur of the place. Mm-hmm. And Cortez then plies them with bribes, be like, yo, if you think this is sick, he kept telling everyone, like, we're all going to get rich off. It's kind of like a pyramid scheme. It's like, we're all going to get rich off this. So then he gives the priest, he gives him some extra gold. And he was like, after getting him basically on his side, bribed, he was like, take this back and give this to like any high ranking guys and let them know, like, if they want to make money to like work for me, fucking Narvaez or whatever his name is.
Right, guy's got one eye.
Yeah, he's a fucking loser. And he was like, he knew that guy Lucas Vasquez, the king's like royal advisor, was there. He goes, find that guy especially and like pay him out big time because he knew that guy had power over Narvaez. So it fucking works. So like now it's funny too because like back then too, you'd just be working for a guy and like another guy in the jungle gives you gold and now that's your boss. So now like, they're just working for Cortez. They have a totally new boss. So they're like, okay, we're working for Cortez now. So they go back, they get back to Narvaez's camp after like a couple weeks or whatever. And they're like, what was up with that? And they're like, yeah, we talked to Cortez. We got, we got netted by Indians. They're thinking like it's kind of like unrelated. And they're like, Cortez was actually like really fucking cool. So this is pissing Narvaez off because they're kind of gassing Cortez. And I'll be like, yo, he's actually kind of the man.
Yeah.
Narvaez is furious. He was like, fuck this. And he just has like a bunch of Cortez's prisoners also bound in ropes. Oh no, you know what he did? He actually talked to Lucas, that guy Lucas was the king's advisor. So many fucking names. Lucas was that king's advisor guy. Mm-hmm. The gold had gotten to him. So all these guys are hyping up Cortez. And even Lucas is like, I don't know, man. Cortez does seem like a good fucking guy. Definitely don't kill him. That would be like the king doesn't want you to kill him. And Narvaez gets so mad that he orders this guy Lucas, who's above him, to be bound in ropes, puts him on a ship, and just sends his ass back to Cuba. He's like, fuck you. Sends him back. It's a fucking wild move.
What's Cuba? It's just like the fucking layover for
Cuba. They called it Hispaniola, I guess. So Cuba was like, or no, I think Hispaniola was like Dominican Republic and whatever. I don't know, but that Cuba was a Spanish colony.
Gotcha.
So that's like a bunch of those dudes are posted up in Cuba, Dominican Republic, all those areas.
Sick.
So he just sends them back to the island. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. We don't need you over here. So,
and
also
that's the king's number 2 guy, or like
it's like it's a guy like from the kingdom of Spain, not just some dude kicking around in Cuba. But Lucas, being as high as he is, he's on a boat now, tied up. So he just starts screaming like, "I will have every single person on this boat hung, including the captain, if you don't untie me." And they're like, "Sorry." So then they untie him, but then Lucas gets back to Cuba and starts sending the king letters being like, Cortez is a man, Cortez is a man, fuck Narvaez, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of worked like beautifully. So Narvaez, he's in this village now called Sempola. That's where that was like Cortez's original kind of Indian allies. It was this huge Indian village, and everyone was mad at the Aztecs because like their form of taxation was like they would just take your daughters because they're going to basically rip their hearts out on an altar. So they would come, their tax collectors would come every like 2 months and just be like, yeah, give us your daughters. If you didn't have enough daughters, they would just snatch your wife.
How many fucking was it 9 daughters? More daughters?
Yeah, they'd be like, we need 9 daughters and like a virgin boy.
Lots of hearts.
Yeah. And you'd have to, but at the same time, they were cutting people's heads off and like, we don't have any guys to cut heads off.
You're taking all our guys.
It was kind of, it kind of sucked. And it got to the point too where like sometimes these guys have to give up their wives. You'd have a wife, and they'd be like, "You have to take your wife and cut her head off." And you'd be like, "Bro,
imagine fighting with her the
give
day
me
before
6
they
months."
come.
But you'd be like, "Dude, I know. You never do anything." It's like, man,
yeah, she's over there.
We'll forget.
Dude.
Yeah,
She's right over there, dude. Her name's Sarah. Watch out! You're gonna fucking kill yourself on the way there.
So Narvaez rolls up to Sempola or Campola, whatever it's called, and there's a guy who ruled Campola. He's called the Fat Chief, which he was just a giant fat guy, a giant fat Mexican who he had attendants hold his belly up for him when he walked, which is kind of sick.
Wow, like big pun.
Yeah, and he literally. So he sees this Narvaez guy with an even bigger force than Cortez, because he's Cortez's ally originally, his fat chief, but he was just kind of like, he's like feeling out, because they're all like feeling out guys for advantage, and Narvaez basically comes to his camp and he's like, "Oh, you were boys with Cortez?" He was like, "Dude, nobody likes that guy. I can't believe you like that guy. That's crazy." And then the fat chief was like, "Nah, dude, fuck Cortez. You're the man." And then Narvaez basically ordered his guys to just help himself. He like, once the fat chief gave him his blessing, he like got all of his guys and he was like, "Yo, take whatever you want from this village." They just raided the village, women, food, everything. And then the fat chief was like, "Damn, I thought this guy was cool." Cortez is that. Cortez was way better about like being cool in village. He didn't let his guys pillage or any of that shit. Wow. So Narvaez did, and the fat chief now is going, "Man, fucking, I think this guy just tricked me." So Cortez now is like, so there's like, you know, say like the Yucatan's on the coast, Sempola's here, and then there's a place called Tlaxan Village. That's like another one that's closer to the Aztecs. Cortez is like heading back towards his original town to confront Narvaez. He meets up with the dude Sandoval, who's the guy who put the guys in nets, in a Tlaxan village. And he also, you know, gains a couple more guys from, you know, the people who were there. And the Tlaxans are like, because they're also the enemies of the Aztecs. They're like, Cortez is telling them like, "Yo, we have these fucking Spaniards coming against us. I need to stop them." So they give Cortez these giant copper tipped spears, because that was what the Indians kind of stopped the cavalry with. That was like the only thing they had. They could try to like spear the horse. So he gives them these really cool copper tipped spears. He's like, "Yo, good luck in your battle, blah, blah, blah." And Cortez is kind of like, "Damn, I don't want to kill any of our beautiful Spanish horses, but, you know, if we got to, whatever." So then he heads to Sempola to confront Narvaez. And again, this is fucked up, because it's like they're 3-1 outnumbered. And before they could smash the Indians there easily because they had superior firepower. But this is like same firepower, more guys, you know, they're kind of fucked up.
Healthier guys.
So on the way there, Cortez encounters one of Narvaez's guys. This guy's name is Duero. And Duero and Cortez were boys back in Hispaniola when they're the original thing or whatever, or the original colony. And Duero urges Cortez like, "Yo, dude, he's got you outmanned, outgunned. Seek peace. That's the best you can possibly do." And Cortez is basically like, "I don't give a fuck. I answer to the crown alone, not fucking bitch ass Velasquez, and definitely not Narvaez." And Duero suggests a private one-on-one chat with. He's like, I can broker like a private one-on-one." And Cortez suspects a trap, and he tells Duero he'll talk to Narvaez on the battlefield. Kind of sick. He's like, "Yeah, I'll talk to him on the fucking battlefield." And he gives Duero some gold as well, telling him there's plenty more, blah, 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 all that stuff. And also he drafts a letter to Narvaez, basically telling him, "I'm going to fuck you up." He's like, "Give this to Narvaez for me. I'm not meeting him." He's writing a letter like, "I'm about to fuck you up." He's like, "I'll deal with you when I see you." So Narvaez gets a letter, completely fucking spazzes. And he's like, "Bro, whoever kills Cortez, I'm going to give you a ton of money." Trying to promise them money. But by now, at least 1/5 of his force, the word had spread, was already ready to coup against him. So 1/5 of his force had already heard about all the gold that was promised in the land. So this guy was trying to be like, "I'll give you some shillings." And they're like, "Yeah, right, bro. We're going to get gold." So
they're driving fucking Lucid Airs over there. They're rich as shit.
Yeah.
It's
like, "Man, get the fuck out of here." So May 28th, this is a day of battle. Cortez and his force are on the outskirts of Sampola. It's rainy and misty, and the rivers are just kind of like gorged and overflowing, which, you know, basically Narvaez was like, "There's no way they're going to try to fuck with me in the rain." So he kind of just like chilled. He was like, "I don't have to worry about it." Because he heard they were like getting close, but he was like, "I'm good." So they're just kind of camping out at the Sempolan, whatever, like chilling in like a temple. So Cortez, like, you know, they're about to ford like an overflowing river. And Cortez gave him a pretty sick speech. He goes, "So, gentlemen, our lives and honor depend after God on your courage and strong arms." So he's just kind of like, "Let me see your guys' muscles." And they're like, "Ugh." And he goes, "I have no other favor to ask you other than remind you that this is the touchstone of our honor and our glory forever and ever, and it's better to die worthily than to be dishonored." So it is funny thinking Cortez just had, you know, the Elliott Army?
Yeah.
He had the Elliott Army. Cortez had.
Take your shirt off.
"Your fucking muscles are so strong, guys." And this was a fucking suicide mission.
Yeah, you want to be savage. Yeah.
So Cortez's plan, he wasn't pretty good. He's a bit of a tactician. He goes, "Dude, we're going to attack them. Surprise night attack in the rain. They're never going to see this coming. This is the only way we can possibly get them." So, you know, and again, Narvaez gets word that Cortez's forces in the area. So this is like a rainy night, and he goes, just in case, I'll have a giant squadron stand in the open plains to kind of await battle. But they just got rained on for like hours while Cortez kind of chilled in the outskirts. So as soon as they left, or they're like, fuck it, he'll probably attack us early in the morning. So all these guys stood in the rain for a while. They finally like take their clothes off, get comfy, and Cortez had his men sleep in their armor at all times. Dude, it was like 100 fucking degrees at nighttime. You had to sleep in a metal encased suit.
Yeah.
But you know, it sounded crazy. Narvaez's guys were all wet. They probably took their clothes off, just were chilling, being comfortable. Naked, bro. They go to sleep after being in the rain for hours too. They're like
wet,
bundled up, chilling. So Cortez and his company moved through the darkness and the pouring rain, finally coming across a couple. He had like 2 sentries posted to look for, you know, anyone moving. So they capture one of them, and the other escapes. And Cortez interrogates the prisoner, pulling a noose basically tighter and tighter on his neck until the man basically speaks up and gave some key details. Basically, like, where the fuck is Narvaez sleeping? Because that's where they're just like, well, we'll just cut the head off the snake here. And so they get the details. They know where to attack. And he has his priest just says a quick mass real quick. They hold mass real quick, and then they ride off into the night. So Sandoval and his men fly into the village, eyeing the Sempolan temple, where that's where it was said that Narvaez was sleeping, at the top of that temple. And in this moment, they're like fighting them. Like fighting started in the village, but they caught them off guard. There's only like a few people standing outside. One guy runs up and starts trying to like tell Narvaez, like, dude, Cortez is here. But like I said, they didn't sleep in their armor like that. And Narvaez was so sleepy, he just sat up like, you know, just kind of like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no way he could have forged that swollen river and crossed muddy terrain with his troops. And but still, him half asleep, he hears kind of the clash and bang of metal as Sandoval and like 80 men fight up the temple, just smashing Spanish soldiers, and slash their way all to the top of the temple steps. And Narvaez at this point finally is on his feet, unarmored, waving his broadsword just completely in the dark as the battle came to him. And one of Sandoval's men took one of those copper-tipped spears and pierced his one good eye.
Whoa.
Blinded him. Which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He got defeated instantly. Stood up, stabbed in the fucking eye, and he just laid in the temple screaming, "Holy Mary, protect me. They have killed me and destroyed my eye."
Wow.
So Sandoval, sensing victory, I think that Cortez was probably riding the rear, Paul's obviously, but Sandoval, he tells them, like, you know, he's like, these soldiers, or half of them are already like, we want to work for Cortez anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like, yo, surrender. He's telling like Narvaez's top guys, like, surrender now, or we're going to set this whole temple on fire. And, or he told Narvaez, like, surrender. Narvaez was too fucked up about his eye, and he didn't answer. So they lit the temple on fire, and everyone escaped. And Narvaez came out last from the fire, belly down with blistered feet. And then they dragged him away and clamped him up in irons, which he would remain prisoner for 3 years. Blind. They chain his ass up. So
big beast.
Yeah, he came in talking shit.
Instantly, the rest of Narvaez's forces,
dude, first fight, like round 1, minute
and
1.
He was like swinging in the dark,
blind. He's a blind prisoner, and now he's just hot for 3 years, chained in fucking Mexico.
Kind of the first swing he took though. Like he talked a lot of shit. You know, they sent him there. It's like, nah, get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna fuck that dude up. Oh my eye! Like immediately. Yo, what a pussy.
At that point, he's like a pet. He's just chained. He's like a guinea pig.
Yeah.
He's just chained to a fucking like ship pet, probably. Oh, just hot as fuck. Getting like one meal a day.
Shaun of the Dead zombie.
Yeah, dude. The rest of Narvaez's forces, again, already a lot of them being bribed.
If he'd have known all the dubs that Cortez was getting, he would have not came over there with that energy.
I know, they had no idea. They're like, dude, he's a fucking asshole. So then his men, which again were triple the size of Cortez's, roll over immediately. And 15 of Narvaez's guys died. The rest of them just instantly joined Cortez. So with that, Cortez has turned his basically existential threat to his mission and to his life into just a giant reinforcement of supplies. He's got weapons, soldiers, horses, blah, blah, blah.
Perfect.
All of them lured by the promises of the gold. So Narvaez again laid blinded in chains, crusted in blood, as basically hearing all of his boys just yell "Viva Cortez," chanting "Viva Cortez, victory!" Just laying there. It's the ultimate. It sucks.
That's where you're like, am I a dickhead?
Yeah.
Was I a dickhead the
Well,
whole
then,
time?
so Cortez,
pussy.
yeah, dude, he's a big bitch. I mean, it's literally it's like as clear cut as defeat can get.
Yeah.
He's been defeated. So then, as they're celebrating, they have like a day probably they can chill or regrouping. Word arrives shortly that from Tenochtitlan that his men were under attack there. The city devolved into a full scale rebellion. So. Here's what happened there. Cortez, being gone, had emboldened the Aztec elite because they were kind of were scared of Cortez because again, a lot of people were kind of thinking he was this guy Quetzalcoatl. They weren't sure, like I don't know, but they're like, yo, he's out of here. And now there's only 120 of these guys, and like Alvarado was his second in command. They're like, fuck this guy. We don't respect this guy at all. So, and Alvarado was kind of feeling this. He was kind of like Montezuma wasn't really talking to him anymore. Before they were laughing and gambling. Montezuma didn't want to fuck with them. And also there was no food being brought to them. And they had dealt with this before when they were like the guests of an Aztec kind of village. They would welcome you in. It's like a classic trap they would do. They'd welcome you in, feed you, and then they would go, oh man, we don't have any food. And then you'd have to leave the city and they'd have a giant force awaiting just to kind of like smash you on the open road. So right now they're going, all right, there's no food being given to us. There was one servant girl who tried to bring them food, and she was found slain outside of the palace. So they're kind of like, dude, I think public opinion's changing on us. We have to go to the market. They went to the market themselves to get food, and even that got shut off to them. So they're like, fuck, dude. They're getting real paranoid. They're like, I think they're going to fucking coup us and come against us. So then there was also the issue. There was this annual festival. It was called Tizcatl or whatever it was called, but it was in honor of the smoking mirror god, which I don't know what this guy was all about, but there's a smoking mirror god, and it was just an elaborate rain dance at the height of dry season. So, we'll talk about exactly what it is, but basically this high priest approached Alvarado being like, yo, I know we said we can't do human sacrifice. Can we at least do our fucking thing so we get rain? And Alvarado was like, yeah, fine. Just no human sacrifice. And it was like kind of a giant political mistake because the entire sacrifice, the whole point of the sacrifice was that at the like heat of the week-long festival, there would be 4 young girls who had fasted for 20 days. So they'd be skinny. Yeah, skinny, heroin chic. Yeah.
In a thong.
4 young girls fasted for 20 days who would just, they would be approached to the smoking mirror god or whatever, and they would be sacrificed. And then at the end of that, they had this thing where they would have a young boy so basically at the end of the sacrifice, they would pick a new young boy every year who like all he would do, his whole life would be him practicing the flute for an entire year, learning all the dances because he was supposed to be like the human embodiment of the smoking mirror god. So he would train in the high arts of like conch flute and singing. So at the climax of this festival, he would ascend after they killed these 4 starving women. He would ascend the temple steps, just ripping a flute solo, smash the conch flute at the top of the step, eat a bunch of mushrooms, and then get tied down, stabbed in the throat, and then they would rip his beating heart out of his chest. And they would fully behead him and kick his head down the steps.
That's how you get into Disney.
And everyone would just go, it's going to rain. They would think like, yes, now we definitely get rain now.
Really?
Yeah. So that was the whole festival. And Alvarado was kind of pissing them off because he was like, no human sacrifice. And it's like, if we don't cut this boy's head off.
And his heart.
Yeah, we picked our finest gay boy to have sing
He
and
was
dance.
playing the conch solo, and then he did his like,
Yes.
yeah, go Mickey, Minnie.
So yes, it was the Magic Kingdom.
yeah.
So Alvarado's, he's just bugging out. He's out inspecting the town, and he's taken aside by a few Tlaxcan warriors who were basically like, they were allies of Cortez, but like extreme enemies of the Aztecs. And they allowed their Tlaxcan warriors into town under kind of guard of the Spaniards, but they didn't really like those guys either. But the Tlaxcan warriors are going, yo, dude, like I've been hearing shit that they're going to kill us at the end of this festival. They're going to sacrifice all of us.
Whoa.
And yeah, Alvarado's like, oh, fuck. So then he's walking around town. He finds 3 starving guys bound to a pole, and they would either like fatten guys up or starve them before they sacrificed them. So they were like, yo, you guys are probably sacrifice victims. He unties them, then takes them to his quarters for questioning. They don't respond, so he tortures them. Still nothing. So then he throws one of them off the roof. He takes him to the roof, throws one of them, and he grabs the other guy, and he goes, what the fuck? Tell me what's going on right now. I'm going to fucking throw you off the roof. And they go, well, Montezuma's brothers have been like planning a coup against you, and they said they're going to basically kill and sacrifice all the Spaniards at the end of this festival. So Alvarado's like, fuck, dude, this is not good.
Where the fuck's Montezuma's brothers been this whole time?
They're just under Montezuma's order still.
But he's still chained to the wall, right?
I think a lot of Montezuma's whole family does end up chained to the wall. Because he like any servant that like saw it, they would just chain any like high ranking guy who would like come in and they would chain them. They had eventually like 30 high ranking Aztec officials by the end of this chained with Montezuma.
Okay.
So dudes would just go in there and not come out. And they would
They'd like see the nose ring and they'd be like, oh shit. Anyway, I was just passing through.
It's just like a cartoon. They look at him. Oh, new here?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it was like the Aladdin jail. It was just like. So the festival starts. 3 days into the festival, nothing bad happens, and Alvarado's like, dude, fuck, man, we got to strike preemptively. They're gonna fucking kill us at the end of this. We got to show them what's up. So on the 4th day of this festival, Alvarado assembles a small force, spreads them out along the city in strategic positions. Because on the 4th day of this festival, they did this thing called the Serpent Dance, where they had like all the high-ranking military officials, all the nobility would gather in this plaza called the Patio of Dances, where they would like all line up in this formation where they made the shape of a snake together, and they would all dance. And this was like literally like the military elite, the ruling elite from like all over would all come to do this. And Alvarado was like, I'm going to have my guys. There was only 2 exits to this little patio. Yeah. So he had those ready to be blocked off and sealed. And then he had musketeers on the roof, just snipers on the roof, basically. And once the place got filled, there was 500 dancers, all these people, literally like the power elite of Aztec society, basically, you know, trapped in this thing. There's like 500 dancers and about a few thousand observers. And they all start doing this crazy dance, like forming the serpent with each other and like fully going fucking nuts. There's drumming, flutes are blasting, and everyone's completely tranced out. And even like Alvarado and his guys were watching it and they were impressed, but kind of like, it's fucking weird, man. They like didn't like it at all. So he blocks all the exits and just basically is like, let them die, and has the musketeers fire upon the crowd. And then his soldiers rush in. The lead dancers, like they would just cut people's stomachs open. Yeah. So they cut the drummer's hands off and they just start basically like fire at will. So they kill like all of the fucking a huge contingent of the power elite. And there's thousands of observers. Oof. So they all started trying to run. There was guys trying to keep the drums going because they were like, dude, if we don't drum, it's not going to rain. We're all going to die. So they would just.
It sounds like a real music festival. Like if you really killed everybody at like a Coachella, it'd be like one tripping out like fucking guy on Molly. Like, we have to keep dancing to get the evil spirits away. Holy fuck.
It's completely brutal, dude. So then the Aztecs try to run, but they're trapped in this thing. So they start trampling each other to death. And dude, it was just like. It was literally like guys laying there, their stomachs hanging out, blood completely covering the patio. And this was like thousands of like the highest ranking Aztec soldiers, nobility.
And like 80 guys did that to him.
Yeah. I mean, it was also the muskets started firing, and then the guys, and they didn't have steel. Yeah. So they had obsidian swords, and a steel would just fucking smash those things. Like a steel sword, the Spanish broadsword, it was really tough to fight hand in hand. They resorted to throwing rocks and sticks, and you know, it was ultimately useless, and so they just massacre like fucking 3,500 people. So Alvarado orders his men back to the palace, and as he's doing this, these big war drums are pounding from the top of the temples, and the Aztecs are basically being called to war at this point against the Spaniards, and the response was like completely overwhelming, forcing Alvarado and his men to slash their way through like a thickening crowd of people trying to attack them, all the way back to the palace where they kind of made it back for their safety. And Alvarado, they were just getting rocks hurled at them. Yeah. Alvarado takes a rock to the head in the process. Just got conked in the fucking head. But he was all right. Oh. So once back in the palace, this is like a major... Alvarado for real fucked up. So, I mean, it's like you'll never know where they're actually going to attack him or not. Mm. But he kind of fucked shit up because they were like literally peacefully taking all the gold out of the city. Yeah. They're about to just dip out and leave or like take over the city or whatever. But so he gets back to the palace. Alvarado... is like, all right, phase 2 of the plan. And there was also a bunch of higher ups. They invited them to the palace to like watch with them. And they had those guys slain and leaving only, Chain Montezuma and his other leaders just kind of chilling. Only the ones that like still would swear sympathy to the Spanish cause were allowed to live. So by now the palace is surrounded, literally tens of thousands of people. And Alvarado has his archers and cannoneers just firing into the growing swell of Aztecs. But it was just like you would take out a row of people and just more people would come.
Like
Yeah, it was brutal, dude. So worked for the time being. Oh no, you know what happened? So the guys come, they swell, they attack. Alvarado holds Montezuma at knife point, along with some other local lords that were chained up, unchains them, makes them walk to the patio and goes, yo, guys, like, chill out. Like, stop.
Boy.
Go home, grieve your dead. It's like, it's totally useless. And they worked for the time being. The crowd slowly went home because they went to mourn and they had to cremate their dead. And the Spaniards were like, all right, we're safe for now, but we can't step out of the temple because they'll kill us. So they were trapped in the palace, surrounded, and they were watching the bridges all being dismantled around them, and they had no food or drink. So the Aztecs were like, fuck it, we'll just make these guys starve to death now. Because like we don't have to fuck with them. We're just going to cut their way out, and they're going to starve to death in Tenochtitlan. Sean, you look like you have a question?
No. I feel like we covered this on the last one, though.
No, we didn't talk about this one yet. That was Cortez's fear.
Okay.
This is now his greatest fears are being realized.
Okay, I see.
So
Sorry.
they knocked the bridges out. The big
They had three main causeways, and they were like, once you took them out, you were fucked. Because like you try to get all those people across those rivers, they would just pull up in war canoes and just fuck you up.
How did they whack the bridges down?
I think they just started destroying them. They're probably made out of like wood and stuff, so they probably just went and hacked them down.
Yeah.
So, or just take big sections out. I don't know. They just fucked them up. So Cortez now, this is like, the guys are literally trapped. They're going to die of thirst. There's no way out. Cortez speeds back to Tenochtitlan after his great victory, stops in Tlaxca, which is like another Indian village, grabs a few thousand soldiers, and they speed back to Texcoco, which is like a city outside of Tenochtitlan. And they got word like what's going on. He's horrified to see the black smoke rising from Tenochtitlan. He's like, oh, this is like mass cremation. This is not good. So they leave Texcoco, which again was like right next to Tenochtitlan. And he's noticing like, damn, these guys used to be stoked on me. None of these like Aztec guys are being nice anymore. They approach another city, Tacuba, which was like literally like it was the Tacuba Causeway. It was like you go from Tacuba across that bridge into Tenochtitlan. And they're like, damn, these guys are being kind of shitty towards me too. So they eventually ride back in. That was the only remaining bridge right now is Tacuba Causeway. So they ride across that and they go through the city, and the city's like a complete fucking ghost land. It used to be like, it was like hundreds of thousand people like bustling about. You don't see a single person. Cortez gets to the palace, and Alvarado and his men are just like completely gaunt. They haven't drank in a couple of days. And they're like, oh, thank God we see Cortez. And they're like, our lives. He's literally saved our lives. Cortez basically he hears what happened. He spazzed on Alvarado and demotes him, putting his boy Sandoval in charge. Now he's like second in command. Alvarado's been knocked down a peg.
Damn.
So
seems like Alvarado was kind of doing the saved everybody's lives though.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. It's like, but it was also like, dude, the way you did it was crazy, dude.
Yeah, you popped off.
You popped off. You could have just found guys, like Cortez would like torture guys, find out exactly who was responsible for the coup, and then take them.
Use lies and manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. And Sandoval just, he ruled with the iron fist.
Yeah.
So Sandoval just, he's like, dude, you fucked up, man. Now, like, we're fucked. So his whole thing was like, we got to be able to, they had like rooms full of treasure. They're like, we can't sneak this shit out during wartime. We need peace in this village or this city to get all the fucking shit out. So Montezuma was next now because Cortez has beef with fucking Alvarado. But Montezuma he had beef with because he found out the depth of Montezuma's betrayal. How Montezuma had been like, I hope fucking he beat the fuck out of Cortez. So Montezuma, he like goes up to Cortez trying to be like, hey man, fucking shit's crazy. And Cortez is like, bro, he called him a dog. He's like, you're a fucking dog, dude. Fuck you. I know what you're doing. He goes, open the markets back up so my guys can eat. And Montezuma's like, dude, they won't listen to me anymore. But I know of someone they might listen to, my brother Quetzalhac. And Quetzalhac was actually one of the dudes chained up next to Montezuma. So his chains are removed and he's sent off to basically go get the market sent back up. But this was a trap for Montezuma. That's what people believe. Yeah. Little did Cortez know, he had unleashed basically Quetzalhac, Montezuma's brother, was like a warlord. And he immediately went out and summoned like all of the Aztecs in the area, not even just a city. He like ordered the entire weight of the Aztec Empire to now come and fight these Spaniards.
Which is
So-
like 100,000 guys or something crazy. like that.
hundreds of thousands,
Yeah, yeah.
hundreds of thousands of guys now. So now it's like they have the military prowess and the people to like actually probably take them out. And really, it was like, I mean, it's like imagine if you ordered Uber Eats and you got attacked by every Uber Eats driver. That's kind of what it was like. It's like you thought you get a pizza and it was all the drivers showed up.
Yo, did you bring food back? Like, nah.
It's just all the drivers.
Knuckle sandwiches.
Just 1,000 Civics pull up.
Little Waymos. Yeah.
So that next morning, no food arrives. He sees the swelling troops. He's like, fuck, Cortez realized like we're in for a fucking fight. So now the palace is once again under siege, led by Cuitlahuac, who's, Cortez's brother. And by now, all of the bridges have been removed and they were genuinely fully trapped in there. They couldn't get the fuck out.
So they only could fight.
They could only fight. And the thing too is like now looking at it, it's like, yeah, dude, fucking, what's his face? That one dude Alvarado could have probably escaped since like Cortez got in, but they were just too, I guess, fucked up from the whole thing. So they could have escaped, but now they're for sure fucking trapped. So Cortez, same thing. He organizes his men to scatter the crowds with cannon fire, but it's just like, dude, tens of thousands of more guys just pouring in, shaking spears. And it was like, it was tens of thousands of guys throwing rocks at like continuously. Yeah. So it was just like hail. It was just on the roof nonstop. So Cortez starts blasting with cannons, but nothing. So Cortez sends his boy Ordaz. I think that was the guy who he made climb up a volcano and try to look inside of it. Yeah. For no reason. On the way there, they saw a volcano. And
Wasn't he kind of pissed at him or something?
Yeah, he was pissed because he tried to plan a rebellion against him. Cortez was like, yo, Ordaz. Ordaz did try to betray him before. Yeah. At one point, he sent him to the top of a volcano and was like, go look into the top of that thing.
Go see what's inside it.
And tell us if it's dangerous. So he tells Ordaz, and he's like, yo, take 100 soldiers, go out in the street and see if you can push them back. No dice. All Ordaz and all of his 100 guys get cracked in the head with rocks. 6 Spaniards die on the spot. Ordaz is forced to retreat. Cortez actually also joined this. He got hit with rocks, and his left hand at this point got crushed by a war club. So Cortez is kind of fucked up. So they regroup inside, and many of them are bruised and bleeding. And Cortez is like, all right, another firepower assault from the roof. Hundreds of Aztecs fall. But again, the ranks are instantly replaced by other soldiers who just shot flaming arrows into the palace, igniting some of the beams, which in the palace just started lighting on fire. They stamped them out, whatever. So the fight went on like this for a week, which, damn. Dude, this is like, and this is my Dan Carlin voice. I really want you to imagine this. Just like being trapped. You're starving alone sucked. You're being pelted by rocks. Just the roof, like windows, all the shit's getting broken nonstop. I don't even know if they had windows like that, but
yeah,
you're getting smashed by rocks. Dudes are like Woodstock 99 levels of people.
Yeah.
Just fucking day and night throwing sticks and stones just through onto the thing. Also, they always would send wizards too. That was a big yeah. The wizards would never work. The wizards started to work here because by then these guys hadn't eaten for days. They're not drinking, and these wizards and sorcerers would come to the forefront and fucking like hit with sticks and like and hit them with spells. So now these guys are so hungry and sleep deprived that they actually started to hallucinate. So they thought the spells were working on them. So they're like seeing headless. This was in like the Spanish like journals. They were like, these guys were like starving and sleep deprived, and they start hearing or seeing headless men. Yeah. So they're like, fuck, they're sending like zombies at us.
Rob Zombie. Woodstock 99.
He was literally getting attacked by Woodstock 99. So Cortez, with his crushed hand, he would still during this week launch little forays out into the city every day. He would like beat them back a little bit with their swords, hit with rocks, and they would run back. So Cortez is like, fuck, this isn't working. He's like, we're going to fucking die soon if we don't escape. So his plan was to build these giant wooden structures called mantas that were basically like siege towers, but they were like 2-story wooden towers where he would like line them with like 14 guys who were all just blasting the muskets out of like little slats. Yeah. So they're protected from the rocks. And they would basically put them on rollers and just roll them out.
Yeah.
So
they're protected.
Like a tank.
Yeah, pretty like a tank. It was like a modern day tank.
Right.
So Cortez does this, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna die soon. We got to do this." And the machines were also getting pulled by ropes by utterly exposed Talaxan warriors, which this was a constant theme. They gave the Mexican Indian guys the most wildly dangerous jobs the whole time. And it was purely little brother energy.
Yeah.
Because the way he would do it, he'd be like, yo, you guys are really the bravest motherfuckers around here.
No one's stronger than you, Timmy.
Dude. And they would just go out totally exposed.
Just pull the rope to pull the tank.
Hold on one second. Sean, pause. I'm getting a double call, which we're rocking, bro. We're finishing this tale. All right, so we'll cut back in. All right, so yeah, so basically my whole point was they have these giant tall mantas with just like guys firing muskets out of them, pulled by the Talaxan warriors, who again were just, you'll see in this, man, they got the worst jobs. Like it was just pulling totally exposed in rocks. All the Spanish guys got to be behind like thick wood and all that stuff. So they build these things, they go to escape from the tall wooden towers on rollers, and at first it's working. The Aztecs are like, what the fuck? They're seeing all this smoke and fire coming out of these towers. And they're like, fuck, they're working. The Aztecs are backing up. But then the towers get stuck. They're trying to pull them. The Aztecs are like, oh, fucking, we thought these things were monsters. They're not. So then they drop boulders from the top of roofs and smash these things. So the guys inside them get like super fucked up. And they have to they run back. Whoever survives runs back into the palace. So then Cortez, this is a debated thing, by the way, in the history of this whole thing. Cortez, running out of options, commands Montezuma to go outside to tell all of them to chill. And Montezuma's like, dude, they have a new commander. They're not going to listen to me. And Cortez has his soldiers strong-arm Montezuma to go stand outside to deliver the message, basically, like, yo, stop the attack. And so they hold shields. Like they do like a force field of shields. Yeah. And they bring Montezuma out, and then they're just getting pelted with rocks, and they just remove the rocks and remove the shields like, Montezuma, go. Montezuma, according to the Spanish sources, just gets devastated by rocks. Oh. And they bring him back in where he dies.
He doesn't get one word out.
Doesn't get a word out. Bring him out. He tries to talk, smashed with rocks, dies.
Oh, he died.
Oh, he died.
He dies.
After all that.
After all that, he just gets pelted by rocks and dies.
By his own people.
Aztec sources claim that did happen, but they claim there's two sources. There's two different stories. They claim, or three really. Spaniard's story is that we brought him out to try to get him to broker peace. They threw rocks at him. We tried to save him, but he died. The Aztecs say, yeah, that happened, but then they brought Montezuma in. He actually was recovering, but they stabbed him to death. And then there was people trying to say there was a thing called garroting, which they were like bind your neck and then like crush it. They said they did that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're saying most likely it was either the Spaniards stabbed him to death afterwards or Montezuma just died from his wounds. So Montezuma dies. A couple days later after that, they try to broker peace. Montezuma dies from either getting stabbed to death or getting crushed by rocks.
That sucks. So you lose a big bargaining chip.
I know.
Yeah.
Montezuma was like, I'm worthless now. They don't care about me. But they figured like, this is our last hope. So after Montezuma died,
Get hit
Cortez...
in the face with a rock and be like, I told you. They
don't even give a fuck about me.
I fucking hate you guys.
See?
Dude, so now Montezuma dies. As soon as Montezuma dies, Cortez is like, all right, well, fuck this. They had 30 Aztec officials chained up with Montezuma. He just goes, kill these guys. Like, we need all of our soldiers. We can't waste shit on these guys. Fuck them. They're dead. So they just slay 30 fucking Aztec nobles that were chained up. So now the Spaniards are still stuck in the palace. It's been like, a week or so. They're fucking starving, dying of thirst. Cortez is really kicking himself for letting Quetzalcoatl free. Said he could have he could have went and got the food and fucked himself, but he's like, fuck. So now they crowned this guy emperor. He's rallying more and more troops. So Cortez, he's just like, fuck, what are we going to do? So Cortez has another plan now. The Aztecs were using one of the nearby temples. The temples were like 100 feet in the air. And they'd watch like the people basically monitor their military movements. So Cortez is like, yo, we're going to build some more of these mantas, these large wooden towers, and we're going to fill them with like 50 soldiers. And he also went himself. He strapped a shield to his arm with a bad hand, held his sword in the other. And they're like, we're going to just like blast our way through to this temple, get to the top, and kill one of their like military advisors, and that'll somehow sway it in our favor to do that. Yeah. So they did it. They get all the way there. They get to the top, and they just like throw priests off the roof. Sick. And they throw priests off the roof. Saw their statue of the Virgin Mary that they had put there was gone from the temple, and they go, motherfuckers. So they They smashed. They're real fired up. They smashed the Aztec statues, throw them down the steps, lit the thing on fire, and then headed back their way to fight their way back into the palace. And then, it was a victory, but about a dozen Spanish soldiers died, and probably hundreds of the Tlaxcalan warriors died. And they were just all getting like hit by it. It really was Donkey Kong. They had to go up on the way up the steps. They're getting smashed by like rocks, and barrels and shit. It was like rocks and branches. So they got fucked up. They lost 12 guys, but at the end, Cortez, it did raise morale. They're like, dude, we did this. We're gonna figure this out. That night, Cortez gets approached by one of his soldiers, a guy named Botello, who happened to also be an astrologer. And Botello claimed that he'd been having visions and talking to spirits who told him that if they didn't get out of the city that night, they'd die tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, that's some Leo energy right there.
Yeah.
He's like, we need to be Pisces right now.
Yeah.
We need to get the fuck out of here.
So Cortez is like, yeah, dude, I don't know. The fact you've been having visions and you know anything about stars, I believe you. So he's like, we're going to flee the city at midnight. The only issue was the treasure. They had 8 tons of gold, silver, and gems. And how to escape with such a haul during peacetime was almost impossible. Basically, the booty was too damn big.
Yeah.
You couldn't handle all that booty getting out of there. You couldn't handle that, bro.
There's too much booty.
Too much booty in the pants, bro. So Cortez has his royal fifth. He has a king's royal fifth packaged and set aside. He has his royal fifth packaged and done likewise. And then he goes to all of his soldiers. He goes, guys, don't be fucking greedy. He takes like 400 pounds of gold out, and he goes, guys, don't let this gold weigh you down. Take the littlest bit. Just take some gems and put them on your person. We're going to probably have to fucking run.
Yeah, it's like the Goonies. Fill up your little sack and bag.
Just a little sack. Yeah. He's like, you don't want to weigh yourself down. We don't know what we're going to encounter here or outside of here. And the guys who had been with Cortez from the beginning actually were, they knew what they might face. So they're like, they just pocketed some gems. The new guys, the Narvaez, whatever his name is, conscripts, they'd never seen such a booty. So they go fully hog wild. And it's like the stuff out of a myth. They stuff themselves to the gills with gold, dude.
They gorged on the booty.
Gourd, bro. Someone call it booty worship. But, dude, so the seasoned vets didn't do this. Narvaez guys are fucking like tin mans full of gold. So, with a firm grip on the booty, at least... So whatever they could take, Cortez orders his carpenters to cut some beams out of this palace. The plan was to carry these giant beams to the edge of one of the rivers since bridges have been destroyed, lay them down, and then just kind of like put them into place somehow, giving them a temporary wooden bridge strong enough to ride the horses over. So, Cortez gets everyone all fired up. He goes, all right, I'll be first, obviously. And he had a mistress named Malinche. That was like his mistress /
Wow.
the interpreter. He goes, me, the priests, and my babe are going to cross first. And then, they had like all the things. Then he put his guy, the rest of the people will go. And then his guy, Alvarado, the guy who fucked everything up, he had to be in the very back with the Tlaxcalan. And obviously the Tlaxcalans crossed last. He was like, yo, we need you guys to fight off any guys. So like, you guys go last. So, it's all, everything's going to plan. They move through the dark. They got their beams. It's a rainy night. It's midnight, July 5th, 1520. They get to the river's edge to just like drop the beams and put them across. They actually get the bridge into place, and they just one Aztec lady who happened to be out. She screams. She basically screams like, get over here, Mexicans, kill these guys. So like instantly conch shells blare, war drums beat, and it's like, fuck, dude, we got to like their guard was fucking blown. So the beams are laid. People start spaz running across. They had like fire drill protocols, like we'll go, then you go. Everyone starts trying to run. As this happens, a bunch of Aztec war canoes just roll up in the same river, kind of clogging the works up. So like as you were trying to run across, there was just a stream of darts and rocks and arrows and shit flying at you. So it just turned into a bloodbath for the Spaniards. Horses are falling in the river. People are falling in. There was even Aztec soldiers that were running up and just jumping in the river to get some to try to fight people in the water. It was really bad. And it was such a narrow little bridge that like people were like, fuck the bridge. And they started trying to swim across. They're like fighting Aztecs coming across. So many people died from this. There's like Spaniards died, Aztecs died. There's people who say the river got so choked up with dead bodies that eventually a lot of the Spaniards got to just like run across dead bodies. But it was like a bridge of just dead people. So just running across corpses. So Many of the men in the rear, this is Alvarado's place, they got swarmed from behind in a massive swell of land troops. Many of them got bludgeoned and taken away to be sacrificed. Cortez even fell in the water at one point and was almost dragged away, but he fought his way out. Also, this is the funny thing too, a lot of the Narvaez or whatever guys who were like the new guys who overstuffed themselves with booty, they fucking fell in the water and just sunk like a fucking rock. So it was almost like out of a Greek myth. Yeah, they were so weighed down by gold. Their greed took them to the bottom of the river.
For the booty.
A lot, dude, about like, he got like whatever it was, like 800 guys, like 400 of the Narvaez guys died. Like half of those guys fucking died.
There must be some. I want to be a treasure hunter in that.
Dude,
river.
I know.
Yeah.
It's Lake Texcoco, and there's another one. They all got just treasures. People must have went down there and got them. So all in all, giant disaster. By dawn, those who had escaped holed up in Tacuba, which is like a neighboring city. Cortez surveyed the damage in the light of dawn. Horrible. 600 Spanish dead, which again, it's like they had 400 to begin with. They just got a new 800 guys. They lost like half their guys, more than half. Mostly Navarre's guys, like we said. A bunch of the horses died. 4,000 Tlaxan warriors died. Eesh. Damn. And again, not even a little, all of the booty had fallen in the river. Cortez's royal fifth, all of it fucking fell, sinking in the dark, cold waters of Lake Texcoco, along with most of their gunpowder, too. So they're fucked, dude. They're like genuinely fucked. The people who did survive were in super rough shape, mostly battered and bloody. But again, all was not lost. Cortez, after he cried against a tree for a while, springs back into action, delighted to see that Malinche, his babe, was still alive, along with like his main bros, the captains, 12 remaining horses, all injured, but you know, everyone's fucked up.
Malinche's been one of the most like dope. Her surviving all of this is kind of nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
She's
she
been
was
around
a
for
slave.
So much.
She's giving head and shit.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, bro, she was.
She's stressed out. Lean back.
It's crazy. So now you're going, all right, so like, where the fuck? So like, Cortez is like, he tells his men, he goes, we lack nothing. Let's fucking head back to the Tlaxan troops and Tlaxan villages. We'll heal up, figure out what's up. And then you're thinking like, where the fuck are the Aztecs? They had the Spaniards on the ropes. All they had to do was follow them and kill the Spaniards. But there was a tradition in Aztec kind of like this war culture that after a victorious battle, what you would first do is sacrifice people. That was like, they could have went and literally ended. They could have saved Mexico.
Yeah.
Could have completely altered history. It was like time machine to kill Hitler situation.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, let's go fucking eat these guys' thigh meat. They fucked up so bad. They could have, they had them. They were literally 2 miles away.
Come be weird with me instead.
So then they just went and just sacrificed whatever people they captured, nibbled on them, all that shit. So they fucked up. They literally danced in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could have killed the Spaniards, dude, all of them. So then the Spaniards are like, all right, it's a 50-mile trek back to Tlaxcala.
Crazy.
So they're getting pestered by small bands of Aztec attackers the whole trip back, but it's not a big deal. They're, in a squadron. It's getting rocks thrown at them. They'd chase them off with horses. Not a big deal. Because now the Spaniards, by the way, are in the open plains, so they can fucking accelerate on a horse, and the Aztecs would just run away. So, they're going and going. Cortez fights a larger force of Aztecs in the open plains, catches a rock to his head, which, by the way, fractured his skull.
Oh,
He's got a bad hand. He's got a fractured skull. They
MRI?
chase those guys away. No MRI. So he's just fucking rocking. That night, that was the final night. They finally camped out. It was the first night they camped out after all that. And by then, they've been like eating like grass and shit. They finally munch on one of their horses. This is the first meat they had for like 2 weeks. And dude, they literally claimed to have eaten the entire horse, skin and all.
Yeah. Was that horse hurt, or they just had to kill one?
They had to eat something. It's probably the worst horse. They ate it. They said, they were so hungry they could eat the horse. So another week was spent crawling across the Mexican countryside, fighting skirmishes on and off, when finally they come across the Valley of Otumba, and scouts report an enormous Aztec army lying in wait. Queto, whatever that guy's name, Quetzalcoatl, who was a different, I don't know if that was that the same guy?
That's the brother of Montezuma.
That's the brother, yeah, that's the brother of Montezuma. He had amassed a large troop. He wasn't there, but he sent like one of his high generals out to kind of like go finish the Spaniards off once and for all. So he was, after they did all that shit, he was like, all right, let's go get him. So he sends his high general out. Cortez hears there's like a massive, massive force. This now is again like the tens of thousands of people. And Cortez apparently said he saw such a multitude of Indians that the fields all around him were so full of them that nothing could be seen. He was like, fuck, dude, we have to fight these guys because they were like blocking them basically. So he's like, given our condition, he's got a fucked up hand. He's got a fractured skull. He's like, we might fucking die. This is bullshit. So then he goes, we can't even use our cannons. That was their big advantage. They could blast cannons into the numbers and scatter them. He goes, dude, we don't even have enough fucking gunpowder for cannons. He goes, we're going to have to fight this out hand to hand, wildly outnumbered, while injured. But they did have those wide open plains in their favor. So Cortez is like, all right, here's my plan. We're going to just go in like a tight squadron, shields up, don't break ranks no matter what. He goes, we have a couple healthy horses. Me and other cavalry riders will just try to cut through the ranks and see if we can get these guys to scatter. But given the numbers, it's like, fuck, man, it's a mega long shot.
Yeah.
So the Aztecs close in, whooping and drumming. The Spanish maintain, they had like a defensive rectangle. They just had like a cube, basically, shields up, fighting them off like the little swells of attacks.
Yeah.
And then the battle went from early morning till noon. The Spaniards are fucking, they're fighting well, but they're getting tired. They're being overwhelmed by the number of Aztecs who are slowly crunching them in a pincer move. So then finally, Cortez did notice that the horses were causing chaos among the Aztec ranks. They weren't doing a ton of damage, but they would scatter them and like leave large gaps in the enemy formation. All right, Cortez back to the wall again, comes up with a plan. Did I say all that? Okay, so Cortez, he sees that his horses are doing damage. He comes up with a plan. He sees the Aztec general decked out with his feathered headdress. He calls Sandoval, Olid, Alvarado, all of his boys. He goes, ride with me one last time. Basically, this is an ID4 suicide mission. We're going to ride into the heart of the ranks, right toward the Aztec leader, and we're going to go try to kill the general. And that maybe will scatter the ranks. So Cortez, it's kind of bravely. A lot of these generals you think would just send other people to do it. Yeah. He gallops first like a maniac, and he knocks the feathered headdress off of the general. And his boy Salamanca comes behind, impales the general, pulls the spear out of the guy, snatches the headdress, and lifts it up into the air. And then the guys are like, the loss of their leader fucked up the ranks because he was the one telling guys which way to go. So they saw what happened, and they're like, what the fuck? So then they're like, he killed the general. That's supposed to be the most powerful guy. The Aztecs fucking freak out. And Cortez, like the moment of this hesitation, Cortez orders all of his riders and guys to charge and unleashed all of the war dogs. And the dogs just started chasing these guys. And then they like just retreated and trampled each other, blah, blah, blah. So then Cortez finally gets back to Talaxa, dead to the world. He's like, they escaped. They get back to the village, and he's a fractured skull. He lays down for the first time in a while and falls into a coma. So it was like the biggest military victory of his career. Passed down into a coma. Nobody knows. They're like, is this guy going to die? What the fuck's going on? So he just laid there for 3 days, nursed by his sweet Malinche.